Alrighty. And good evening, everyone. Welcome to another week of Track Limits Racing's Sports Car Series 2026 Season 1. We're back. Week number 7. Both of us are back in the booth this week. I'm Fettuccini, joined again, as always, by Phil Melody. How are you doing this evening?
I'm doing really good. Really excited to be at Road America for round 7. Can't remember the last time we were here, but it's a really good track, and I think for multi-class racing, it's going to be exciting. Although I think the Kink and Canada Corner are going to be very interesting with GT3s and LMP3s.
I think there's going to be a couple spots on the track that are going to be very interesting to see how they manage multi-class traffic. But we've seen all sizes of cars manage it pretty successfully, so it'll be fun to see how these drivers get through tonight with that as well. So, looking at points for a moment. We haven't talked about it in a little while. It's been a little while for us as well. But kicking it off, I'm going to start in the middle of GT4 because why would that reset to where I want it to? LMP3 Pro. The actual starting point of this, Jaden Ledbetter, only 31 points ahead of Luke Patrick. Ethan Hamlet, a point behind Luke Patrick for third, and then a pretty close, still only a good handful of points between Gian Cardoso and Benjamin O'Shea. I think after this round, we start including drop rounds, if I'm not mistaken, into the point totals. So it should be really interesting. What are your thoughts?
Yeah. Either way, it's gonna be interesting with the multiple drop rounds. So, yeah, I don't know really what to make of the top 4. I think we're just gonna have to wait and see how things shuffle out after round 7. But it definitely looks like it's gonna be close to the end. At least it feels that way.
Yeah, it certainly does. I think it'll be pretty busy up until the end. We'll have to see Mike Bowen as well, starting at the 11th spot there in LMP3 Pro. LMP3 AM, even a tighter battle between Garrett Hillman and Paul Miles for the top position. Alan Love not far behind either. Jake Fulton as well as Cameron Robertson rounding out that top 5. Another close set of battles, especially a battle for the podium between the top 3, and then Jake Fulton and Cameron Robertson only being 10 points away from each other as well. I think when you add in a couple of drop rounds, it's going to be a pretty close set of fighting amongst all these drivers. What am I missing? Honestly, I feel like this one's a little bit, I think, simpler in some ways, but less simple in others.
Yeah. I think it's a really tough fight up at the front. I will say that I don't actually see Garrett Hillman or Paul Miles in the race tonight. So
I don't either.
So I think that's going to be interesting. The newcomer Herbert Pineda Sr. kicked it off. His joining the LMP3 a couple weeks ago with some fanfare and scored some pretty good points right out of the gate. So kind of interested to see if that keeps going.
Is he in Pro or AM? I believe he's in AM, right?
He's an AM. Right.
Gotcha.
Yep.
Well, I might have erroneously stuck him back into Pro, and my overlay decided to do its usual reset back to the beginning of the season when he was in GT3. But
I mean, he's running pretty good times right now.
Yeah.
In practice.
I think he's 3rd overall in the LMP3 category. So, and a pretty disparate first for the LMP3 AM when both Alan Love and Jake Fulton are a little bit further back in qualifying. We'll have to see how that all shakes down in the race here. Gab Chavez is going to lead off GT3, a 31-point lead to kind of Tommy Kogan, Tanner Schiffner, rounding out that top 3. Christopher Blue as well as Tyler Torville as well. Again, close-ish at the top, disparate between 4 and 5, or close between 4 and 5, I should say. And then, not a whole lot of points either between Kyle Potter, Ryan Buchanan for 6th and 7th, and they're only 10 points behind, or not even for, in Kyle Potter's case, from the top 5. So I think, and you add in Matt Pyle, Andrew Matthias, gosh, it's a whole top 10. Pretty closely knit between each other, at least.
Yep. Yeah. Without seeing what the drop rounds are going to figure into, to answer Chris Turner's question in chat, I mean, I still feel like this is a relatively close field. I'm interested to see how it shakes out. I do feel like Gab Chavez has been particularly dominant. So if he keeps
Yeah.
that going, I think he's a shoo-in for upgrading from king of the streets of Chicago to just king of GT3 in general. But we'll see if he can. We'll see if he can hold on to the reins and see what the rest of the season's got in store for him.
Yeah, I think these drop rounds are really going to bring in some interesting change ups to the order and the standings. I think after tonight, we get to add them in. Let's see. Rest of GT3 there as well, including the likes of Chris Turner, sitting just outside the top 10 in 11th. And then GT4 Pro, 10 drivers in this one. And biggest, I think, gap between P1 and P2 to P3, 4, and 5. But each of those drivers well and truly within battles with each other. And... Yeah. I mean, it's gonna the battle between Jake Hewitt and Scott Fleming for the GT4 Pro Standings Championship is gonna, I think, go down to the end of the season at this rate.
Yeah, two really strong performers, and with the kind of chaos that we've been seeing with multi-class racing this season, yeah, they're both gonna have to have their heads on a swivel to get to the end and see if they can which one's gonna come out on top.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see, especially with like that. Sean Sullivan, I think, also not clear of Sean Harvey. And then Adrian Marizak, battle of the Seans. Two different spellings of Sean to lead off the GT4 AM standings. Adrian Marizak also having a fantastic result in just consistency. Putting her up in third. Andrew Seelig, Drew Friedman going to be running out that top 5. Close battle between those two drivers, between 4th and 5th, respectively. Levi Powell tying Drew Friedman, making it a 3-way fight for the top 5, essentially. I think drop rounds may change those numbers or who's positioned where. But we'll have to see. I think the rest of the top 10 also doing pretty solidly.
Yep.
What battle's here?
I mean, you gotta. We're gonna figure it out. Season 1, 2026. Battle of Greater and Lesser Sean. Which one's which? Tune in to find out. So, but yeah, I think it's gonna be interesting. With the battle for the top spot being that close, and again, like with the point totals, I mean, we're looking at from like P4 to almost P8. Being in contention for jumping into the top 4. Adrian Maruzak is not that far away, so one of the drivers from P4 to P8 could sneak in the top 3. It's gonna be interesting.
Yeah, I think it'll be. I think drop rounds included, especially the way that this season is and the tracks we're going to before the end of the season. I think it's gonna make for some pretty exciting racing. Drivers briefing happening underway pretty much right now as the rest of these drivers get through the last bits of practice. Thoughts on the season so far, Road America in general? What have we missed that we want to talk about before we get into tonight specifically?
Nothing really from my list that we've missed. I think the big thing that I'm just kind of going to pay attention to tonight is I think the strategy is going to be tricky around here. I'm just double checking right now because I wanted to make sure, but I believe Road America is going to be a 90-minute feature.
Sounds correct.
Yeah, longer. It's going to be a longer second stint for everybody, so it'll be interesting. And I know with the adjustments to the fuel tanks and stuff like that, it's going to definitely make it to where the fuel saving strat isn't necessarily as deterministic. But Chris is just the hype man in chat, just telling us, just giving us all the Dragon Ball Z setups for what round 7 could have in store. But yeah, I think the multi-class racing is going to be tricky around here. People are definitely going to have to be have a full presence of mind driving around in mixed format. Road America is always a tough track, and yeah, I'm just excited to see how it all shakes out after we get through qualifying.
Yeah, I am as well. To Chris Turner, yes, it is 90 minutes for the feature race here. And I'm going to make for, I think, a pretty fun one as a result. I'm sad we don't get to go to Road America for the IMSA Vintage special event this year. So I will be enjoying watching this from the sidelines as my Road America race of choice for this month.
Yep. So today I learned that Chris can't hold it for more than 90 minutes.
That's that. We have all learned that today, whether or not we wanted to.
Yep.
Benjamin O'Shea also going to be missing out this race. You are missing one of my favorite tracks. I love Road America, near and dear to my
it's
heart.
A good track.
Did this race, did the special event 2 years ago. And had a blast, and that's kind of where I fell in love with this track. Was at the Road America 500, and it's any chance I get to go here, I'm always like, this is great. This is such a good place to drive. It's so simple in some ways, but it's kind of like the same. The nice thing that this thing has that I think makes it a more fun iteration of the problem, or like of Sebring as another flat track, is it has elevation. It doesn't have a whole lot of curves of camber, but there is a little bit of up and down throughout all the straights, and then the corners are all flat, but there's some elevation in between it that make it, I think, just enough to be fun.
Yeah. Did want to give a shout out.
Mm-hmm.
It's possible for Naxi PDX for the follow.
Ooh,
a few minutes ago. So thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Also want to say we do have somebody returning with us. We do have Kerry Nolan out on track.
Fantastic.
I believe he's in GT4 AM.
I believe so. That's where he's rejoining. So I gotta make sure he gets put into the right spot.
Yep.
Because I think otherwise it'll say that he's in.
I think GT3.
Yeah, I'll see. See where it ends up sticking him.
Less than 5 minutes before we go into qualifying.
Yep.
Just taking a look real quick at the standings before we jump in free practice. Get the times in, and it's pretty close up at the front. Jaden Ledbetter is only a 10th off. Luke Patrick's only a 10th off of Jaden Ledbetter. And Herbert Pineda Sr. and Gian Cardoso running like-for-like times.
Yeah. I think a few thousands separate those two drivers, and only 300ths between Jack Wilkins and Jaden Ledbetter as well.
Yeah. Gonna take a look. And
I'd say in similar fashion, Jake Hewitt only 500ths, less than 500ths between himself and Corey Lobner up at the top of GT4 AM
and
GT4
Corey
Pro.
Lobner. Lobner coming out swinging here at Road America. That's great stuff. Tyler Torville, Tanner Schiffner. That is a little bit bigger of a gap.
Yeah, a couple tenths there.
Yeah. So I think that one's gonna be an interesting one. And then Logan Branson taking the fight to Sean Sullivan with that 2:16.14. Or excuse me, 2:16.42, a couple tenths up on Sean Sullivan. So good close battles all around.
Absolutely.
Pretty excited.
Yeah, it's going to make for, I think, some pretty interesting racing. I think we're going to end up with 34 cars, I think.
Yeah, we have a lot.
We have a
35?
Lot. Well, I think, I want to say 35, but I think I just saw Sophie Bozeman put somewhere that she was having issues with the wheelbase staying connected.
Portion.
Same with Drew Friedman. What happened? Tyler Trovaldi got a meatball flag. Or excuse me, Tanner Schiffner.
I think we're getting about to that time. Almost to the qualifying session.
Yeah, Nathaniel Baker.
And we get to start the shootout.
Yeah, we get to spend a few laps driving around the fantastic track that is Road America. Get to talk you through a couple laps, what these drivers get to look like, get to experience as they get around the 14 corners of Road America. It's a good time to pull up the track map if you haven't already.
Yeah, it's 14. Yeah, right.
Hey, it's almost like I love this track.
Yeah, I mean it's a tough circuit. It's again, it's another one of the American road circuits that really are quite punishing in terms of off tracks. The grass is right up against the circuit in most places. We do have some gravel pits in a couple of other locations. Do turn 8, turn 12, and then also outside of turn 1. Some pretty big gravel pits that'll slow you down. At the start of the race, I expect that we'll see a pretty decent gap on the formation lap between the LMP3s and GT3, so we shouldn't see them pile in. But if I'm looking right now, I think we have a pretty sizable GT4 field on track. So watching them go through turn 1 and then into turn 3 is going to be pretty interesting with that many cars. So
I think we got 8 in GT4 Pro and 5 in GT4 M, plus a 6th who hasn't set a time yet from Kerry Nolan. So 14 as it stands. Yeah. So I think we got that. I think we got like a 12 GT3s.
I did not have my trading paints updated, so I need to get that fired up. I just saw just a blue BMW with nothing else on it. I was like,
that doesn't look right.
Nope, that's wrong.
Thankfully, I believe it's an M Sport style livery for Ryan Nolan there, who is moved over, I believe, from the Merc to the BMW.
I'm a BMW. I'm an M4 enjoyer. Been enjoying that car ever since it was released in ACC. I just like it. It's a car that's got a pretty solid platform, and the driver aids they kind of do what they say and say what they do.
Yeah, very intuitive. Very intuitive to drive, I feel like.
Yeah,
across the board.
It's almost like the opposite of the LMP3 in almost every way.
How much grief we get.
Yeah, the LMP3 is like a Rubik's Cube, only someone took off all the stickers. So, yeah, good luck with that.
Who haven't we ridden on board with yet in the LMP3 category this season? I feel like we haven't ridden on board with Luke Patrick yet. I think we have, but I'm going to feel like we haven't, just that way I'm not searching for another driver.
I'd say go for it.
So we're going to follow him from outside the car on the outlap here. Going to talk you through a lap of Road America. Do you want to take the LMP3 or would you like me to this time around?
I'll do it.
All right.
Yeah. I'll guide everyone around through the mail slot. So
well, got a couple corners here, but I think it'll be a fun one.
Yeah, and the LMP3 around this track is it kind of like with Sebring. It's another one of those where the track surface can be pretty punishing for these drivers if they're really overdriving the car. I see we're doing a lot of weaving to get the heat into our fictional tires. Don't really know how well that works.
I've heard it does, but I also, much like you, I
have no
idea if it actually does.
It would be cool if they added that into the model. I mean, that's kind of neat. But yeah, it's a tough car, and it's so interesting too. We're watching Luke drive around right now, and I said we're going to be seeing it through the mail slot here in a minute. The canopy on the car looks way more open from the outside than it looks from the inside. But again, it's that whole point of view thing, looking into a round surface as opposed to looking out of a round surface. But yeah. And there we are. Yep.
As I'm speaking of that.
Yep. And this is how your mail's delivered. This is what it looks like when the U.S. Postal Service shoves it through the slot.
I love in the update.
Going through. Yep.
They've added the GoPro mount on the far side of the not driver's side. Anyway,
Yeah.
continue. Kick us off.
Yep. No. I know exactly what you're talking about. He's about to approach the 3-cone over here. Probably slam on the brakes as he gets ready to go into turn 1. He's going to take a lot of the inside corner, push out wide, going to try to avoid the grass on corner exit through the non-existent turn 2 and into turn 3 here. Turns in tight and then gets on the power to push the car out wide. We've got this long straightaway here through turn 4 as we're getting ready to go through the downhill section. Downhill section as we get ready to go into turn 5. Pretty tricky corner. Very easy to lock up the fronts. You're going to see people dive to the outside, brake as deep as possible, and then turn the car in. Lot of runoff there. We get ready to go through turn 6. This one right here is going to be a nightmare for multi-class racing because when they get ready to go into the turn 7 fast right-hander here, heading downhill now towards turn 8, it can get really awkward. So on the brakes again into turn 8, turns in, runs out wide. Gravel is really close on the exit here. Through the carousel now, he's going to be leaning on that front left. And it's all about judging when is the right moment to really punch the throttle as he comes out of the carousel. Approaching turn 11 here. Flat out through the kink. And then this is another area where the multi-class racing through 11A, getting ready to go into Canada corner, it can get awkward. Throws the car to the inside. Again, kind of like on the exit to turn 5, lots of runoff on the corner exit. This is another area. This chicane here, when you're going through turn 13, can be pretty awkward. And then turn 14 here, he's going to push out wide again. And that's going to finish out his lap. We're going to see what kind of time he can post up.
Yeah, I'll see a few of these drivers working their way around their first laps here to get a time in. Alan Love going to be first. Jaden is going to get 2/10 behind Luke Patrick, who's going to take provisional pole, but this is going to lose it very quickly to Nathaniel Baker as they come across the line. Robert Lewis going to come across the line from his first lap. Excuse me, Tommy Kogan. We'll dive on board with him. And the GT3, I think the biggest moments you're going to see this car be any slower is going to be in some of the faster corners here. That's the gyro. That's going to help us. I guess we'll do it off the roof. Just want to see. Oh.
Yep.
Great save out, Tommy Kogan. That lap, however, is going to be invalidated.
Yeah. Definitely got on the power a little bit earlier, and the wedge just decided to get a little slip slidey in the back, and that's going to ruin his lap.
That certainly is. Same braking spot, really, for the GT3s in terms of where you want to apply the brakes. The best part is you get the ABS to help you not lock up those fronts. But these slower corners, a little bit faster for the LMP3s. So you'll see the speed be a little slower, or at least feel a little slower out of these GT3s in this slower section in the middle sector. And carousel, I think, is going to be a big part. We see all three of these cars have very different speeds, as the downforce really helps the LMP3s stay like at least on partial throttle throughout the entirety of the corner. You felt that lift out of the GT3 Mercedes from Logan Key that we're driving along board with as he pushed his way through that. And that's going to be where you see those two cars have different speeds. And then the GT4s, much similarly, are going to have to lift as well. And they're just going to be slower going into it. So then also having to lift is going to cost them to be even slower. So carousel is going to be the most awkward point for multi-class traffic if it's not set up well. If it is, and everybody drives together, it's going to be great. I think that's going to be a fantastic one. Much like LMP3 uses much of the runoff here, as well as all the other corners. As long as your wheels don't touch the gravel fully on the outside, you'll be okay. Let's see where he comes across the line to improve his time.
I think the difference in the approach speeds going into the kink, I think everybody's about to get that F1 experience of what it's like when you run out of battery.
With the new regulations.
Yeah. It's going to be like, oh, hey, and we're like the LMP3 is right there. Oh, yeah. Be pretty crazy.
Yeah. And
man, Jack Wilkins just smashed 58.8 and is on top by a half second.
Yeah, right now, most of these drivers getting their second laps in. Probably a good handful, I think, are having slower laps or off tracks. Henry Garcia, provisional pole for the moment with a 216.381. See if he improves that this time by. He does not, but we'll see. He has one more chance here, one more lap, and an opportunity there. Ryan on board with the GT4s. Biggest thoughts on how that looks, how it's going to be different for these drivers versus the other two series that we've gotten, two classes that we have.
You know, I just GT4s around here, I think, are really a handful.
Mm-hmm.
Believe it or not, I think the lack of downforce, especially in corners like the carousel, make them pretty awkward. They slide a lot.
Yeah.
In the in corners like the carousel, in corners like the kink. In the first corner, it's just. I think they're probably one of the tougher cars to drive around here. If I'm honest, I think the LMP3 is probably up there too, but that's because it can get so unsettled.
Yeah. I think when you're in the groove with the LMP3, it's fantastic to drive. I think it ends up being super awkward whenever you push over the edge. And I think the same is true for the GT4s. It's one of the great, that's why I think they're both great learning machines, GT4s, the LMP3s, to drive on as kind of the next stepping stone when you get out of the MX-5s or the BMW M2 CSs and work your way up through the kind of the licenses in iRacing. They're so technical to get right, and so much fun to drive once you get an idea of how they, where their strengths are, what you can do, how you can push them to go faster without costing you time or losing control of the vehicle. Same is true for the LMP3s. I think the LMP3s just have a bigger kind of threshold for risk that, once you go over the edge, it is a little bit less forgiving than I would say the GT4s are. GT4s, you can really kind of lean on the limit without going over, depending on which one and what way you do it.
Whoa. Can we have a conversation?
Mm-hmm.
Chris Turner's on top of GT3 with a 203.783 right now.
It definitely looks like it.
Chris Turner out of nowhere. Yeah,
let's take a look at this lap. See if I'm going to go back one more lap. We're going to do a replay of this. Look at this. We'll do the rooftop onboard.
We're getting the replay cam with Chris Turner from New World Sim Racing in the number 9.
Take a quick look at this, and then we'll dive into the grid. Oh, never mind. We've been forced into the grid.
Yep. That is the nature of the beast when you're using iRacing.
That is the nature of the beast when you're using iRacing. So, kicking us off in the LMP3 category tonight, then, since we've been so rudely pushed into the grid, it's going to be Jack Wilkins, a 100th and 4,000ths ahead of Luke Patrick. Luke Patrick eked out the lead before Jack Wilkins finished his final lap. Jaden Ledbetter 2/10 behind both those drivers. I think it's going to be a very tight battle for the lead over the opening laps between those two drivers. Gian Cardoso rounding out the top 4. We get into Herbert Pineda Sr., who is going to be leading LMP3 AM and then 5th overall, with Nathaniel Breaker in between him and the second LMP3 AM of Jake Fulton, who's going to be in 7th alongside Alex Velasco for the top 8. And then we get into Alan Love as our 9th LMP3 driver and our 3rd LMP3 AM driver. So as long as these 3 drivers finish, they'll get a podium for LMP3 AM, which I think is not a bad way to be. GT3s. Phil, do you want to take those away?
Absolutely. So Chris Turner putting it on pole in GT3. I think that's his first pole position in track limits in GT3 category. So congrats to him. Tanner Shifter not that far behind. Robert Lewis in the 949 machine puts it 3rd on the grid. Congrats to Beltan there. Austin Green in the 69 BMW. Anthony Newman is going to be 5th in number 17. Then we got Gab Chavez, the point sitter in the championship. Tyler Torville, Matt Pyle, and then Tommy Kogan, Logan Key, Christopher Blue, and Ryan Nolan round out the GT3 grid.
Yeah, all 12 of those drivers I think going to be looking to find positions, close battles all throughout that grid. Henry Garcia is going to be alongside Corey Lobner for that GT4 top row, with Jake Hewitt and Scott Fleming rounding out the second row. The two kind of championship contenders battling with each other on the second row of this grid. I think is going to make for a very interesting and busy race there. Nick Bowen's going to be alongside Logan Branson, who leads off GT4 AM, with Tim Mello is splitting the difference between Logan Branson and Sean Sullivan. Colin Johnson ahead of Andrew Seelig, Levi Powell alongside William Lewis, with John Newman rounding out the 13 cars I think that are going to take to the grid. Kerry Nolan, I think, as well as Sophie Bozeman, going to be in the pits to start. Well, Jack Wilkins is going to start from pit lane. That's going to be an interesting one.
Yeah, that is an interesting one.
What happened there?
Yep. Kind of curious. Going to be very interesting after putting in a pretty good qualifying performance.
Yeah, for sure. So, bit of interesting early race drama here. Christopher Blue also going to be starting from pit lane. Sophie Bozeman, I think, is out for the evening due to the incident with the disconnecting wheelbase. Let's get ready to see these cars go racing. Final notes. Keys to success. We want to use the fancy terms that people like to throw around in these more professional broadcasts than what we put on.
Yeah, I think it's going to be it's just going to be interesting. I think with the race strategy, 90 minutes is tough around here. The finishing order in the heat race isn't necessarily as important. It does help for the folks that really get a good qualifying. They can get some extra points. Kind of want to start to figure out what you're going to do for your race strategy for that feature. And then also just prepare yourself for kind of the chaos when the LMP3s come through the order for the first time. So it's going to be tricky, but I think we got people out there with the right stuff that can do it. So just looking forward to seeing how it all shakes out.
I am as well. I think, yeah, the LMP3s getting through traffic, I think we'll see them get through the GT4s. I'm not sure we'll see them get through the GT3s, at least not fully, by the end of our 20-minute heat race here. So I think getting set up to be able to navigate that in the feature will be, I think, a huge piece for all those drivers.
I'm still kind of interested to figure out what happened with Jack going to the pits.
Yeah, I'll say it is.
Is he just doing a birthday challenge where he's like, I'm just going to try and win this from pit lane?
Yeah.
I'm like, bold strategy, Cotton. Let's see how it works out for him.
You would like a track map, correct?
Always. I love maps. They're great.
All right. There you go.
I need iRacing to hook me up with some topology. I need a topographic map. But
you need a topo of
yeah,
everything that's going on. I think that'd be actually be a really good indicator of elevation, which I think is one of the biggest things that gets lost in track maps on racing surfaces.
Yep.
But safety car is going to pop. Dive in. There we go. That's the English I want.
Yep.
And we're waiting for that green light. Luke Patrick's going to punch it really early. Jaden Lebetter, I think, almost getting a little caught out on that one. Herbert Pineda.
Yeah, in fact,
Herbert Pineda's going to try to see if he can't get around as well. Gian Cardoso getting a fantastic run to end up in second. Jaden Lebetter's, I think, going to have to fight with those guys for third.
Yeah, I think he just kind of got caught on the inside.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to force him to take an awkward line through the corner. There goes Chris Turner just blasting away in a clown car full of baboons.
Yep. See how this opening couple of corners goes. Tanner Schiffner going to be keeping it ahead of most of those drivers.
That was close. I think All right, now here we go. This
boy.
is where it's going to be very interesting going into turn one because they want to slide so much, especially on cold tires.
Oh my gosh, Corey Lautner is so late on the brakes, almost loses it on that exit though. You saw that wiggle out of those drivers 2 by 2 as they come barreling down into turn number 3 to get these cars going the right direction. Henry Garcia gets a bump out of Jake Hewitt, but keeps that car going the right direction still.
Hey.
And then Nick Bowen's going to make it 3 wide.
Yep, spicy start as we get ready to go down into turn 5. How many cars can we fit in here? We're about to find out.
We're going to hang on board with these guys for a brief moment. The rest of the grid also keeping busy. Nick Bowen's going to have a really wide line as a result because Henry Garcia is holding that inside line.
All right, guys, you're gonna have to zipper this up here in a minute. We're going into the narrowest part of the track.
You say that, but I think Nick Bowen and Jake Hewitt are more than comfortable to keep going 2 wide.
Yep.
Though I think it's going to cost Nick Bowen a little bit of time there. Scott Fleming going to capitalize on it now.
Yeah.
As well as Logan Branson put a stick in the nose. Whew. All right, they finally get that sorted out for the moment. Herbert Pineda is going to be right behind Luke Patrick and Gio Cardoso after the first lap.
Yeah. I was going to ask if we could take a look and see that first event where Tyler Torville goes off track. I'm kind of curious what happened there in G3.
Yeah, he has 2 there. And he's off by himself. This is into the kink. I think he just has a brief moment there. It turns into a bigger one. Pirouettes it. Almost saves it.
But just a touch. So yeah. I think he's okay if he can just kind of like limp that car around for the rest of the heat race. Oh, and that is Christopher Blue meeting a very, very disastrous fate in the kink.
Yeah, Jake Hewitt also goes off track around the same time as this. This is Christopher Blue. He started in the pits for this race, and just cold tires do not do him any favors.
Unfortunate for Christopher Blue.
Yeah.
That was a mega slam. That right rear is probably broken.
I think so.
LP3's settling in now. Luke Patrick trying to start to pull the gap on Gian Cardoso. Herbert Pineda hanging in Gian's draft right now. Jaden Ledbetter in the background.
As well as Nathaniel Baker. Top 5 all separated almost equidistantly from each other. You have this nice kind of like even spacing between each of these cars.
Yeah.
Jaden keeps it on track, but you saw the amount of gravel he kicked up there, and that's going to put him right into the fight with Nathaniel Baker, who's going to lunge up the inside of turn number 14 at the end of the lap.
Yeah, and Nathaniel's going to make it happen.
Yeah, let's position, see if Jaden can capitalize with the draft down the start-finish straight. What is happening here? Okay, my
the order is like
has decided
really,
that
everything is shuffling. Yeah, so it looks like on screen everything is correct, but in our interface everything is like shuffling in some sort of funny order.
There is something wonky going on with the lap number that all of these drivers are on, and now
suddenly Luke Patrick has only completed 2 laps where all the GT3s and GT4s have completed 3.
Yes. All right. Well, I think iRacing Live Timing is doing what iRacing Live Timing does best, which is brake. Meanwhile, racing continues. Jack Wilkins popping out of pit lane in the thick of this. He tries to work his way through lapped traffic of the GT3 category. Taking a look, big gap has opened up between Luke Patrick and Gian Cardoso. Gian Cardoso, however, has the fastest legal lap on track right now. Luke Patrick's, while the fastest, was an off track and therefore not counted. Top 3, I'm going to hop over to them in GT4 Pro, top 4, I should say, separated by about a second between all 4 of these drivers, a little over that between Scott Fleming. And I'm going to take this opportunity, do a quick ride along, see, not that way, other way, there we go. See out of this Mercedes-AMG GT4 that looking at the 2 Porsches that are ahead of him. See how this battle between himself and Jake Hewitt for these points in the championship also shape up.
Really close and a strong showing right now for Corey Lobner in the Mustang around here right now. So he's holding station out in front of this train.
Yeah, these four gap keeping about where it was. Hop over to the GT3s for a brief moment here as the battle between Austin Green and Anthony Newman came to a brief close. Austin Green now fending off 4 cars to Tommy Kogan. Matt Pyle in the back of this going too wide through the 14th corner. And Austin Green is going to try to shake Gab Chavez if he can from the draft.
I don't think that's going to happen. And Gab is right there.
Yeah, I don't think so either. That gap closing down only a 1/10 and a half.
Is he going to show him the nose right before the
corner? Look, but he has to slow down enough to not run into Austin Green. Does so. Nope, wrong button. That's a scenic cam. That won't help us.
Tommy Kogan now.
Yeah, these three. Originally, I saw Austin Green, I believe, battling with Anthony Newman briefly.
If you want to jump over, take a look at Colin Johnson right now. Looks like he's in a pretty good scrap.
That he is with Tim Mello.
Yep.
2 pro cars working together. Colin Johnson setting consistently quick laps, improving his own personal best last time by and probably this time by as well. Tim Mello also getting fast times, but they're a little slower, and then also I think not legal laps. So scrap, I think, in the lead of GT4 Pro is also hitting a boiling point as Jake Hewitt looking for the run to get around Corey Lobner.
Yeah, it feels like Corey Lobner's pace is starting to drop off, and Jake Hewitt is going to try and take this opportunity to capitalize. Getting ready to go into turn 5 right here. Good braking zone to try and execute the pass if Jake Hewitt can pull it off.
I think there's a little...
I think he's probably going to yeah, go ahead.
I'll say a little bit of a defensive line out of Corey Lobner. And Jake Hewitt, I think, waiting for the opportunity to make the most of it so that way they don't end up getting swarmed by Henry Garcia as well as Scott Fleming.
Yep.
So we're going to see where these are. Jake Hewitt also has to sort of slow down amongst all this. So that is, I think, going to put a little bit of a dampener in his attempts to get around to the lead of the race. But that'll see. Hopefully he can bleed it off without losing too much time to Henry Garcia and Scott Fleming. Nick Bowen climbing back into the fight with these drivers because he is faster in the vacuum of being alone behind these drivers for about a lap and a half. Not a legal speed or not a legal lap time as the off track was involved.
Yeah.
His best is still showing us 2:17.08, but his most recent one was a 2:15.97, so about a second faster. Oh, Henry Garcia getting a bit of a bump with Scott Fleming as he tries to goes around the long way. Nick Bowen going to try if he can't capitalize on it as well. That's going to open up a gap to them and Jake Hewitt. I can imagine Scott Fleming does not want to be fighting this long with Henry Garcia. Still too wide.
Yeah, a nice little fight here in GT4. Bowen going to try and make the move.
Fortunately, it does kind of box Scott Fleming in. Henry Garcia goes defensive.
Man, the straight line speed on Scott Fleming is just nuts. And Nick Bowen decides to pull out of the draft and get behind Scott Fleming right before the corner. And actually, I think that wasn't the play because it just cost him so much time. He slid so much on corner entry.
Yeah, I think there was no good option for him. Henry Garcia was going to have to be a little bit slower. LMP3 traffic, I think, also going to run into these drivers. Most of them, by the way, pretty much on islands at this point. Over second between a lot of those drivers. Everybody kind of running their own race. Multi-class traffic, I don't think is helping either. Scott Fleming going to dive out to get the inside lunge. He's going to bump into Luke Patrick, and that's going to put Luke Patrick into the wall. as well
the race
as
leader gets deleted, unfortunately. That is not how you want to pull it off.
Nope. And that's going to see both those drivers tow to pit lane, both with meatball flags.
So what happened here? So he just like
pulls out to go all behind. I'm going to see if I can do an onboard real fast. I want to see if he just... Oh, I wonder if he just missed that braking opportunity in the braking marker.
I think that or the draft just pulled him into it.
That too.
That is unfortunate. Mega unfortunate. Both Scott Fleming, Luke Patrick jumping to the pits. That's going to put Gian Cardoso into the lead of this race with Herbert Pineda Sr.
behind him.
Right behind him. So that is a quick turn of events.
Yeah, that is true. Jake Hewitt still battling with Corey Lobner as well. Oh, man. See how these two continue their fight. Chris Turner still holding off. Tanner Shifter and Robert Lewis as well. About half a second between those two, or a second, I should say, between those three for the podiums of the heat race.
So with that GT4 fight kind of getting flipped around, now Corey Lobner, Jake Hewitt going at it. Jake Hewitt really trying to unlock pace here, and Corey Lobner being very defensive.
Now, he's trying his best. I think Corey Lobner knows he's running out of tires to fight with. And I think that's where that move is going to get done. But now he has the draft, and the straight line speed of the front engine GT4 is one I think Jake Hewitt is planning to be on the defensive for, because he knows that car, that Mustang, when it has a draft, is just going to catch right back up to him into the braking zone here. You see it there. Oh, so late on the brakes because Corey Lobner's almost trying not to run into Jake Fulton.
I think that was Jake Fulton. Currently running P2 and LMP3 AM.
Yeah. Let's see. Brief moment. Austin Green caught up to Anthony Newman in GT3 as well.
These two are going to continue their battle from earlier in this race. Getting into the approach on turn 5.
Snap of oversteer keeps Austin Green behind because he tries to catch that car and not go for the over-under that he was setting up into that corner.
Watching these GT3 machines move through the Sector 2 portion of Road America. Really technical portion of the track. Very punishing in terms of off tracks. And now leaning on that front left as they go through the carousel. Really looks like Austin Green can hang with Anthony Newman through the technical pieces. And I think it's really just the straight line sections where the Porsche can be defensive.
Yeah, the speed differential is not quite enough. And Anthony Newman's able to kind of put that car in a defensive position and keep Austin Green behind. This does cost him a little bit of time to the drivers around them. 4 seconds between these two and the top 3, which these two are in 4th and 5th in class. Big old off track there for Anthony Newman as well. And that also, as they fight, brings Gab Chavez back into the mix.
Another fight that's starting to pick up is Robert Lewis now setting the purple lap in GT3 with a 203.842. Yeah. Robert Lewis in the 949 sim racing machine seems to be gaining ground on Tanner Schiffner.
Yeah, Chris Turner still leading the way. Also set his own personal best, but it's 0.2 slower than Robert Lewis's personal best. So these three all trying to find opportunities here at the lead of this race. 15 minutes down of the 20-minute heat race. And in 5 minutes, we'll see who's going to be setting up for the grid for the 90-minute feature.
Robert Lewis just being patient.
Yeah, see, we got a decent roll bar. Yeah, it's a pretty solid roll bar. See what the inside of this GT3 McLaren as they get through the tail end of lap traffic of GT4. Levi Powell, who's been having a pretty rough race up until this point.
Yeah.
Just trying to bring home some solid points with this one. Such high commitment out of the GT3s and the GT4s in the kink there. Limit of grip, limit of, what you can do with that machine. Really awkward to try to navigate multi-class traffic into the kink without somebody acquiescing and making it a little bit easier on everyone.
Robert Lewis pretty smooth on the McLaren here. Not seeing too much out of the inputs, but man, that throwing the anchor right there and running into the GT4s at the wrong moment.
Yeah, it's got to give Chris Turner a briefest moment of breathing room.
Yep. Robert Lewis getting out of the draft as they go into the first corner. Really good fighting here. I think.
Slow down.
Right there at the very end.
Oh my goodness! All three of these now into tenths of each
tail.
other.
Yep.
See Chris Turner get caught up by John Newman at the worst moment, right after he got the reprieve going down the start-finish stretch. You can see him take that defensive line. That's Tanner Schiffner really looking to capitalize on that speed difference.
Really spicy action here is, he's going to go.
Yep.
Looks like
all three.
Looks like Tanner's going to go for it. Everybody's going for it into turn 6.
Yeah, Kerry Nolan just going, I'm going to steer clear of those guys. Let them do their thing.
It's like, allow me to take the widest line imaginable. So line so wide, I'm going by the hot dog stand.
Let's say not far behind these drivers. The battle we saw earlier, Austin Green, Anthony Newman, going to pick back up again as Anthony Newman gets in a little bit of lap traffic that we just saw those top 3 drivers in GT3 get past. Anthony Newman throwing on the flashers, letting them know we're coming through. Oh, such a high commitment zone for all these drivers. It's going to be a little bit rough there. Gab Chavez really capitalizing on that. He's going to catch.
It is crazy.
Oh, this is going to be, I think, a little bit of a rough one because I think Gab Chavez has the speed. Anthony Newman throws the defensive line. It's going to make them too wide as they get through. Austin Green squeezes in, makes a little bit of room there. Still looking for the opportunity, unable to find it. Speaking of opportunities, seeing if he can find it, Tanner Schiffner once again 800ths behind as we go into the last lap. I believe I saw out of that flag. Yeah, the flagman indicating last lap for these drivers. Chris Turner has one more trip around here to worry about these guys up at the lead. Gian Cardoso still managing pretty solidly to keep ahead of Herbert Pineda, who is not giving him any breaks throughout this race.
Yeah, it's been a pretty tight battle.
Herbert Pineda catches it.
Yeah, saves the car, can bring it home. Ever so lucky.
Oh. We saw it out of Jaden Ledbetter a little ways earlier. It's super sketchy. Talking about that risk lever. Not lever, but.
Okay. It is, so Gian's going to take the win. We got Herbert Pineda and Jaden Ledbetter going to round out the top 3. Mm-hmm. Where are the GT3 boys?
Going through the last part of the middle sector and then into the carousel here in a moment. Still battling it out as they get through the last of the GT4s. Jake Hewitt's going to be the leader there.
Yeah, it looks like while we were watching the GT3 fights that were super close, Corey Lobner lost ground to Jake Hewitt. Nick Bowen slipped all the way down to 3rd and is now in the clutches of Henry Garcia.
Yeah, Henry Garcia almost off track there. But that battle they were battling before, now pick it up again amongst all this. Gab Chavez going to split the difference. Nick Bowen going to be working his way through. Austin Green's going to lose a spot amongst all this craziness. Top 3.
Get it? That is wild. I think Canada Corner is about to turn into a pile of cars.
I think everybody got through. So, nope, I lied. Tommy Kogan is going to be the odd man out.
Oh, Tommy Kogan, unfortunate.
Austin Green trying to get back around Gab Chavez. Gab Chavez putting the anchor down on the inside line, and he's got to squeeze out Austin Green.
Oh, yep, he's trying to box him in behind the GT3.
And Austin
Green's like, nope.
Box him in. Jake Hewitt is going to come home.
Yeah, Jake Hewitt manages to survive.
Yes.
Yeah. What a race, man.
Oh.
What an absolute race. That cooldown lap is going to be much needed as we get ready to go into a 90-minute feature of this.
Yes.
This is about to be nuts. I would recommend everybody right now, if you need to take a bio break, do it now.
Yep.
Go get a cold beverage. Stretch.
Take a breather.
Yep. Because I think it's about to get spicy here at Road America.
I would have to agree. All right. Let's see. Do I have heat results?
Looks like you do.
I do indeed.
Looks like we've got GT4 AM pulled up.
Nice, as we did earlier.
Yep.
LMP3 Pro is going to see Gian Cardoso lead home, Jaden Ledbetter, and Nathaniel Baker for the top three there. Herbert Pineda is going to be splitting the difference, but that'll be an LMP3 AM with Alex Velasco, Jack Wilkins, and Luke Patrick rounding out the 6-car grid there. Last driver there ending up a few laps down as a result of damage from that impact in that incident with Scott Fleming. LMP3 AM, 3-hole drivers there. Herbert Pineda going to be taking on the win well ahead of Jake Fulton and Alan Love. GT3s, Phil?
Yeah, Chris Turner in a clown car full of baboons coming home with the win with Tanner Schiffner. Not far behind Robert Lewis Beltan in the 949 sim racing machine, getting both Chris Turner and Robert Lewis getting their first podiums, I think, this season.
I think so as well.
So good start for them. Tanner Schiffner is going to get some good points coming out of this in his battle for the lead. Gab Chavez, actually, and Tyler Torville back towards the middle and back of the field with Gab Chavez in 6th and Tyler Torville in 9th, respectively. Tommy Kogan finishing 10th. So GT3 points order could see a bit of a shakeup if this goes all the way to the end of the 90 minutes.
I think it'll be an interesting one to see how that shakes up. Ryan Nolan, Christopher Blue rounding out that 12-car grid for GT3. GT4 Pro, it's also a very spicy one. Jake Hewitt going to come home with the winner there. Nick Bowen in second with Corey Lobner rounding out the top three. The last couple of laps there, just trying to in the survival mode for all three of those drivers, as well as Henry Garcia and Tim Mello rounding out the top five with him just staying ahead of Colin Johnson, two of them battling it out for most of that race. Levi Powell, as well as Scott Fleming and Sophie Bozeman rounding out the 9-car grid there. Again, Scott Fleming also involved in that incident we saw with Luke Patrick, and Sophie Bozeman having connection issues in terms of wheelbase. GT4 AM. Phil.
Yeah, Logan Branson getting a good finish there with some the top finish. William Lewis in second with Kerry Nolan in third, coming back after being away for a little while. John Newman in fourth with Andrew Seelig and Sean Sullivan rounding out the top 6.
Yeah, I think Sean Sullivan had a spin amongst all that as well because he was right behind Logan Branson in terms of the AM positions. I think there was one GT4 Pro splitting those two. So I think having a spin there, it'd be interesting to see how the recovery drive happens over the 90-minute feature we have coming up in just a moment as we get through the tail end of warm-up between these two. We'll talk mostly about that grid. We'll run it through really briefly for everyone. So, Gian Cardoso is going to be leading off. Herbert Pineda, Jaden Ledbetter, Nathaniel Baker, as well as Alex Velasco, Jake Fulton, Alan Love, Jack Wilkins. I think is going to round out too far, way too far, as well as Luke Patrick for the 9-car LMP3 grid. With the likes of Chris Turner and GT3. Do you want to read those off real fast? I know we just talked about them. So
yeah, so We got Chris Turner alongside Tanner Schiffner. Robert Lewis and Anthony Newman are going to be on the second row with Austin Green, Gab Chavez. Third row, Matt Pyle is going to line up alongside Logan Key with Tyler Torville and Tommy Kogan, 9th and 10th, respectively. Ryan Nolan and Christopher Blue are going to round out 12-car grid in GT3.
Heck yeah. Jake Hewitt is going to be alongside Nick Bowen, Corey Laubner, Henry Garcia, Tim Mello, and Colin Johnson. Back at it again for those two drivers. Logan Branson alongside William Lewis with Corey Nolan, John Newman, Andrew Seelig, and Sean Sullivan. Levi Powell and Scott Fleming rounding out that 14-car GT4 grid. All right, 20-minute heat in the books, 90-minute feature coming up. What do we expect to see differently with the 90-minute feature that we didn't see in the 20-minute heat?
I mean, I think if I'm Corey Laubner, if I'm someone like Corey Laubner, I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, man, those tires fell away pretty fast in a 20-minute heat race, and you're going to be on those tires probably for 30, 35 minutes in the features, so you're probably going to want to do a little bit of conservation on tires, especially because you're probably not going to want to take tires for that first fuel stop, unless you're taking the short stint in the front. But yeah, it's going to be interesting. I think tire degradation around here is going to be a big deal. I think that proved the point in GT4. With the GT3 runners, I'm kind of expecting we're going to see something similar. So racing strategy, I think, is going to be a big deal. I also think that if you get caught in some early lap shenanigans, you gotta do something with your strategy to try and see if you can flip flop your outcomes. But we'll see. Road America is a very, very tough track.
It certainly is. I think the fuel, it's gonna be such a fun piece. It's one of the things I love about endurance racing in general, but you can kind of condense it with fuel limitations, the pit strategy, when to take tires in our instance, or if you take tires for those kind of final bits of a race. It's always such a fun piece of the puzzle that makes up kind of this longer form racing that we do. Always one. I think it's a question that I think we both feel like we never answer enough, but always answer far more frequently than we want to. It's like, do we take tires in this last stop? Do we not? So I think it'd be very fun to see when these drivers make their pit stops, what the plan is, how the strategies differ between these drivers, and who really kind of uses them to their best advantage.
I'm also interested to see what happens with Jack Wilkins down there in 7th after putting in a pretty good quality performance and then ending up in the pits for the start of the heat race. Benjamin O'Shea, of course I'm not there when Ethan's gone. Yep. It do be like that sometimes, but hopefully we'll have you back for round 8, sir.
I'd say still got 3 more rounds, right? I got that right.
Yeah, I was actually going to pull up the schedule and get everybody prepared before we get it. So we got round 8 coming up next week at Virginia International Raceway. That's going to be a 70-minute race. We've got 90 minutes of Indianapolis, April 25th, and Road Atlanta is our finale with a 100-minute feature race on May 9th.
That's going to be, I think the last 3 are going to be very interesting. Like these cars are all the right speed where Indianapolis feels like a reasonable choice. I think you go much faster than a GT3 or an LMP3, and it's just, they're too fast for the road. There's not enough, road for them to stretch
not enough space
legs.
Between corners.
Yes. And really undermines the purpose of like the racing in general. You don't really feel like you're utilizing the car right. You're just kind of going around the corners. So I think it's going to be very fascinating to see how they tackle Indy. So safety car going to peel in here, and we're going to get back to going for another 90-minute feature. Gian Cardos is going to lead the way. He's going to punch it pretty quickly. Jaden Ledbetter getting a better launch this time. Herb Pineda also getting a good run. The whole field getting a fantastic launch. Jack Wilkins, in the background. Luke Patrick diving in as well. Alan Love, I think, just got to pull over to the side and go, I'm in my own race here. I'm not battling you guys. I'm not going to try. However, Jaden Ledbetter and Herbert Pineda are going to be too wide to the opening corners there. So get down into turn number 3. GT3s?
Yeah, we're going to see What's going on here in GT3? Tanner Schiffner does get a little bit better of a launch than Robert Lewis. It looks like Anthony Newman, Austin Green going to go side by side into the first corner.
Yeah. Side by side. Austin Green's going to hold it in for the second and really the third corner as their GT4s.
Big Bowen already getting
great launch out of Corey Lobner. Sees him laying on the brakes, really applying the pressure.
Yeah, Corey Lobner just launches the car at the start with that with what feels like the Ferrari F1 package there. But good launch. Looks like everybody's getting through relatively clean.
Yeah, take a
look. For the GT4s.
As well. If we hop back up. Gian Cardoso a second ahead. Because Herbert Pineda and Jaden.
Yeah, these two are duking it out, and that's giving Gian Cardoso a lot of breathing room. I'm pretty sure Gian Cardoso is probably punching the radio button right now, saying "Stop the count."
Yeah.
But
like, we can end it right now. Like
yeah, it's like it was a good feature race while it lasted. Yeah,
finish this lap and then we're done.
We said 90 minutes. We meant 9 minutes. So
90 seconds.
Yeah. But it's Jaden's going to get the move done on Herbert Pineda in Sector 3, and now it looks like Luke Patrick looming in the background. Luke Patrick's going to try and recover those spots after getting clobbered in the heat race there.
And he is a man on a mission, finding himself up from the last tail end of the grid, and Jack Wilkins is just following through. Both those drivers tearing up the order to try to get to the top step of the podium.
I have a lot of cars going off track.
Scott Fleming, John Newman, Sean Sullivan. These are all
three
in the
what happened
back here. All right.
I wonder what happened here.
Take a look at Sean Sullivan going off track, 'cause I think this is where this starts. There's Scott Fleming behind. Oh, and John Newman right in front. Tandem spins out of those two drivers.
Yep.
And both of them get it going again. They both pointed the right direction, at least.
Yeah.
And Scott Fleming, I think, just unlucky. Finds himself having to lift to not run into them and kind of ends up on an island as a result.
Yeah. Formula drift is not a category here in the sports car series. So the tandem drift was impressive, though, for a brief moment.
For the briefest of moments. Man, this whole group of cars all packed together up at the front. Austin Green hanging out with the top three that we saw all bunched together in the heat race. Now find themselves once again all together in the feature race.
Yeah.
Let's see if I could.
Oh wow, that is a good shot as we get ready to go in the carousel.
So it's a good opportunity to see how much these cars lean on that front left.
Yeah, you can see the suspension compressing on the left side.
A little bit of a micro lift out of Chris Turner early on in the stint. The tires aren't fully up to temperature. And
wow, he's right there. Oh, yeah, little bit of a bump. Little bit of a bump. Oh wow, and Tanner Schiffner, the bump draft, and then had to throw on the brakes and the closing speed for both Beltan and Austin Green. Yeah. They almost were going to be sitting in the back seat with him.
Almost. But I'll keep it going the right direction. Personal best out of Gian Cardoso. Keeps himself 1.3 seconds ahead of Jaden Ledbetter and Luke Patrick, Jack Wilkins, all within a few tenths of each other in LMP3. Looking further back in GT3 real quick, because Tyler Trovell and Matt Pyle are going to be duking it out briefly for position, as well as Logan Key. Pretty fantastic run there early on for this driver. Joins us after some good endurance racing, I believe, with Logan Branson, as well as Sean Sullivan, a couple others there from the Sebring 12-hour.
Yeah. We got Jaden Ledbetter marked as crashed. I wonder what happened to Jaden.
Oh,
he's in the back of the field.
Yeah, he's still moving. All right. Well, we're coming up to turn number 5. Does he overcook the rotation? He does.
Yep.
Great heads-up driving. Oh, bumps into Jack Wilkins and Nathaniel Baker, Jack Fulton, everybody else going defensive to not run into him. That really breaks out parts of the field, though. Gian Cardoso now 3 seconds ahead. Luke Patrick and Jack Wilkins going to be battling it out for position here.
Yeah.
Oh, big moment on the grass there. Herb Pineda and Nathaniel Baker also in a battle as well. Austin Green is way down there. He's getting passed pretty rapidly by many drivers. Tommy Kogan almost trying to run into him.
Was that a slowdown?
What happened?
Or just the off track? Just like.
Let's see what happened. There's an off track.
Was there a slowdown? Was there a slowdown that accompanied that off track?
This is it's the kink.
Oh,
he just
okay.
gnarled.
And he eats the front
and that's
right. So I'm wondering if it's
slow.
Damaged.
That probably damaged, and then also all the speed that you're supposed to keep through the kink got bled off. Running into that barrier. So
kind of wondering if he's gonna. So he's staying out. He's not going into the pits. Interesting.
He doesn't have a meatball, and it really doesn't look like he took that much damage on that front corner. He's gonna have a little bit top end issue, but nothing too serious. Herbert Pineda joining those with issues.
Yep. Off in the grass.
Yep. Finds himself firmly back in the LMP3 category, splitting the difference between Jake Fulton and Alan Love.
Can we take a look at that GT3 battle at the front?
Yeah, we can.
The one that's separated by 3/10?
Yes,
yeah, that
absolutely,
one.
Yeah. These three.
Oh, wow. Into turn 5. Oh, he's right there.
They keep it together.
I seriously thought Robert was about to dump Tanner there, but he had just enough space to get on the brakes.
Yep.
That was wild.
Gab Chavez and Anthony Newman now piling in. Let's see if I can ride along board with Anthony Newman, see all 5 of these cars in a dance. Look at those. Look at all of them. This looks like some GT World Challenge level nonsense.
Yep. That's right. Just want to let everybody know on the level. It's almost like watching the pros on television. Just tune in on a Saturday night. Watch the sports car series. We've got the best in the game. So going through the kink here, everybody's keeping it nice and tidy.
Move up one car.
Yeah,
I see the look out of Tanner Schiffner. He lunges up the inside there. And Chris Turner is now in second.
The lunge there finally gets the move done. I wonder if Chris had like a moment out of the kink or something. Something had to have allowed him to bleed off enough speed. And Robert Lewis now on the inside at turn 14. And Chris Turner is suddenly just falling down the order here.
Well, it's one of those things where if you're offline, especially with how close all these drivers are, it becomes so hard to get back into the gap and the groove. Gab Chavez almost pushing Robert Lewis to keep going the right direction. He's going to end up on the inside as they go into turn number 1.
Yeah, this is going to be dicey. If Robert Lewis can hang on to this through turn 2 and on entry into turn 3, he might have a shot.
Yeah, I wonder if Chris Turner's going
to looks like he's going to do it.
Tires. Gab Chavez almost running into Chris Turner. I got a feeling. I wonder if Chris's tires are overheating. Anthony Newman trying to find his own way through because he has such a better run as a result.
Tanner Schiffner now. What is happening?
Anthony Newman making the look up the inside. Gab Chavez trying to go as well.
Anthony Newman from downtown.
Yeah, Chris Turner looks like he's got either something going on with that machine or the tires are giving away on him and just not giving him any time anymore from where he's been trying to push at the front of this field. Luke Patrick, Jack Wilkins are going to be catching up to Gian Cardoso.
Yeah, they are.
And Jack Wilkins is going to peel into pit lane.
The Jack Wilkins pulling the trigger on an early pit stop here.
That's a really early pit stop.
Yeah, it is. So let's think about this for a minute. So if they get 30 to 35 minutes, because I don't think LMP3 was fuel limited. I think it was GT3.
Yeah, GT3 lost 5% down to 45% from 50. Both GT4 and LMP3 are still at 50.
So I'm kind of curious now. So 35 minutes is 70, and he comes in. Well, I mean, coming in 10 minutes early or 10 minutes is pretty early.
That's like I said.
Like, if he can somehow stretch out 2 40-minute stints, might have something there. There might be a there, but
It's possible. Gian Cardoso looking for the over-under. Luke Patrick getting a great launch into there.
I mean, Luke Patrick has been, that car's been a rocket ship.
Yeah.
The whole session. So I'm just expecting him to just kind of just blitz off into the distance. But we're going to see this GT4 traffic, especially going down here into turn 8, is going to be awkward.
They're keeping it together so far.
So now it's down to the LMP3s being able to take the outside and lean on the downforce a little bit more. And the GT4s
Gian Cardoso catches grass, though.
Yep, that is unfortunate. And it does manage to keep it out of the wall. Can he rejoin on the exit of the carousel without causing too much calamity? Looks like he can.
Yes.
Falls down the order now to, I believe, third?
Yes, third as a result. Essentially, I think it'll be fourth. Logan Branson going a little bit off-roading with that car. GT4s really can handle an off-track, I think, pretty well.
So Benjamin O'Shea speculating that we might be seeing quali fuel out of
that would make sense.
Out of Jack Wilkins. So
but Jack Wilkins also didn't have that issue in the heat race. I don't know. Yeah, I would have. I mean, it would make sense. But
yeah, I don't know. But Jack Wilkins now down in the back of the order of LMP3 again. And we're going to see how it works out for him for the remaining, what is that, 78 minutes? So
yes.
We'll see. Back in GT3s.
Yeah, Anthony Newman and as well as Robert Lewis getting around. Chris Turner now battling with Gab Chavez for this top 5 spot.
So Chris Turner is falling down this order pretty big right now. Like, he doesn't have a lot of off track. He doesn't have any off tracks that I've got registered. Last lap though was a 2:05.10. I'm curious. Is he fuel saving?
Hey,
is Chris like 45%?
Just
tank. Don't care.
Mega fuel saving. Seeing if the Giga fuel save will do it to him for him.
I mean, here's the thing. If he can do a Giga fuel save over two stints, could make a difference. I mean, we're just going to have to see. And that is some cars in the background, and that rejoins on track.
Well, it wasn't an intentional one, and he's just going to tow it to make it easy. Let's see what happened here. Logan Key having a pretty solid race so far. Goes into that. That's a little hot. Oh, and just the grass in the gavel takes him, and then,
to the tire barrier, manages to save
heads
it.
Up out of Ryan Nolan there.
Going in front of Ryan Nolan. Unfortunate for newcomer Logan Key.
Car looked pretty solid. We'll see what the pit cycle says. Remind me, at least one fast repair for these drivers, right? So good opportunity to use it.
Yeah.
Get back going again. Lose a little bit of time in the tow, but not as much as you would have to repair the whole thing again.
Man, he's washing out wide in the carousel. I wonder if it is a tire issue for Chris Turner already. That was a very wide line in the carousel early.
LMP3s are pretty much on islands at this point. Jaden Ledbetter and Herbert Pineda, Jaden Ledbetter, and Herbert Pineda, I think are the closest one. That's a little bit over a second. We might see that come into a fight here in a little while. GT4s, Scott Fleming getting around William Lewis. William Lewis trying to hang on, see what he can learn from these drivers. / take the fight back to him if you can.
Good stuff. Good stuff. Just staying in the fight.
Mm-hmm.
Good on him.
Yeah, Scott Fleming doing in a recovery drive pretty solidly. Colin Johnson up the road, battling with Tim Mello. Got around him. at the start of the race. Now is trying to see if he can keep that gap at about the half a second that it's been at since this point. Lap traffic. Jack Wilkins, from where he's had his pit cycle, is going to come barreling down amongst these drivers and then power on through.
And timed it just right to go into turn number 7 there. It was just, yeah. Oh, it's going to take the inside line going in the carousel. He cleared Nick Bowen pretty quick, and that's kind of what you want to hope for if you don't end up on that outside line is the LMP3, because you can kind of give the GT4s a lot of space and lean on the downforce. But you don't want to be close to side by side, or you don't want to be trying to put the squeeze on them as they go into the carousel, because the GT4s are just going to slide.
Yeah. Jake Fulton having a bit of a slower line out of the final corner.
We approach the 17-minute mark. I think we still got a little bit of time before we hit that first round of scheduled pit stops. Just taking a look at the data right now. I'm using GT3 in particular because Chris Turner's starting to bring that lap time down into the 204s where he was with respect to everyone else. Although Tanner Schiffner is just driving the doors off the car, both him and Robert Lewis, 204.15, 204.25 respectively for their best times. And they're both in the 204.2s right now, so they are.
I think they're definitely leaning on the not doing a fuel strategy, or fuel save strategy, I should say.
Yeah. I mean, their fuel strategy is like drive until it's empty and then put the fuel back in. So I mean, respect. If you got the pace and you can drive the doors off the car, then by all means.
Now all these cars back filing in.
Wow.
Behind Gab Chavez. Looking at my pile who's at the end of this. Chris Turner at the lead.
They're hitting some GT4 traffic.
William Lewis, who we were just talking about a little while ago.
A really crazy section for the GT3s to catch them.
Yeah, it's really, really awkward as well. You see Austin Green almost running into William Lewis there in the background of this. Especially in these slow corners, there's the speeds between the GT3s and GT4s aren't terribly different. Like in the middle of the corner, it's the corner exit that they power out on. Matt Pyle going to go really off track there. Tommy Kogan going to capitalize on that. Scott Fleming going to slide in behind. Austin Green looking to power through. He's going to have to find a different way around. Chaos. Pandemonium. Gab Chavez is having a rough front end there.
Oh, that is a lot of damage on the front end of that.
There?
Yeah, what happened? Yeah.
Let's take a look back. I'm going to go back to here, and we'll see if we can't ride alongside, see what happened. I want to do
Here we go.
board.
Into
There's Tyler Torville.
Canada corner.
Yeah.
Into Canada corner.
Multi-class traffic is also here. Coming through the chicane. Oh, he gets touched by something. Was that Tyler Torville? No. All right, well.
Yeah.
Let's take another look back.
So where did the damage come from? Because it looked like his front end was damaged.
Let's see. I'm going to do outside of this. Yeah, I think we definitely could have stayed on board with him. I bailed off to see who had run into him. Let's take a look up on the outside and see what happened. Is that battle too wide through Canada corner? No issues there. Multi-class traffic. I believe that's going to be Andrew Seelig. And he gets bumped as Andrew Seelig washes out wide. Gets the front end.
The front end gets clipped by Tyler Torville.
Gets
and then
labeled as off. Gets reattached as it doesn't actually make contact. and then he's going to keep going.
Interesting.
So, multi-class traffic, a little bit of an issue there. Austin Green going to be kind of the winner of all that. So Nathaniel Baker, Gian Cardoso come back into a fight. GT4s also beginning to spread out pretty seriously. Jake Hewitt leading that class with Corey Lobner still only 2 seconds behind, sticking ahead of Henry Garcia. Oh boy.
Yeah.
Whew. Nathaniel Baker hanging on to the P2 spot for the moment. Gian Cardoso trying to capitalize, has about a half a second to a second a lap time faster.
Yeah, it's so, and that's after the slide that put him out in the kitty litter. So I mean, that is really good on Gian to kind of like hit the reset button and just get back to putting in some quick laps, and he has caught back up to Nathaniel Baker and is making this a race.
Yeah, one that Gian, I think, would love to get around. I think he's also, at this point, both of them are being caught by Jaden Ledbetter. Gian leans on the door, powers through on the inside. Nathaniel Baker has to cede the position.
Yeah, I do want to say this right now, but Gian Cardoso in this season has been really putting in some good performances. Really, really starting to get some pace in this LMP3. To be honest, we've never seen him in another car.
Yeah.
In the Track Limit Sports Car Series, so he's been putting the time in, and it's really starting to show.
I'd have to agree. I think it's one of those things where it's definitely like it shows that driving one car consistently, you can get much quicker as you get more and more familiar with it over time, even if you're not, a particularly rapid driver overall. And I think this is the year that, like, it's one of those, all the effort I think we've seen over all these previous seasons for Gian Cardoso, seeing it kind of come to fruition, of that work, really developing and being rapid, staying in the kind of the top 3, top 5 pretty consistently this season.
Yep.
Taking on the
except right now, Luke Patrick has a 14.8 second gap.
Well, he is running.
Jake Fulton's moved all the way up to 5th already.
Man. Jake Fulton is in 5th. Jack Wilkins.
Ooh, we got some GT3s going in. Robert Lewis, Chris Turner, Tyler Torville, Austin Green. So that 45% hitting at 23 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
That, or people are starting to take those early pit stops to try and offset what's going to be their second and third stints in the car.
Yeah.
A whole gaggle of GT3s coming in. So we're gonna get some good pit stop data to talk about here in a moment.
3 drivers that did not go into pit: Tanner Schiffner, Anthony Newman, and Tommy Kogan from GT3, which I think is going to be an interesting thing to see how their pit cycles are different later on as well.
Wow, some fast times on the jacks, or in the stall. We got 19.18 from Robert Lewis and 18.98 Chris Turner. Tyler Torville jumping Austin Green, Matt Powell, Gab Chavez. So a little bit of a shuffle there. So Chris Turner going to gain some positions, just basically hitting relatively fast in comparison to the field. Yeah, I mean, over a minute, barely over a minute for Gab Chavez in the box, and 1 minute and 2 seconds for Christopher Blue, and 1 minute and 8 for Ryan Nolan. So, majority of the GT3 is trying to get out of the pit lane in the 59-second mark, with Chris Turner getting that 59.3, and Austin Green with that's Tyler Torville, I think, with a 59.07. So Tyler Torville, fastest pit lane travel time. get back out on track.
Yeah. Tyler Turville, I think, capitalizing the most on that. I think we're going to see the last 3 of GT3 work their way in this time by. Daniel Baker trying to get around Chris Turner. Speaking of those drivers, I think Ryan Nolan, one of the only drivers to hop in and get tires this first stint.
Yeah.
Which I think makes sense. Most of these drivers, you'll see them hop into their pit stalls. You can do about an hour and some change on the tires as they stand. As Luke Patrick will dive in from the lead of the race in LMP3 to sort of do his pit stop. Gene Cardoso came in last lap. We should see, I think, some more LMP3s start to trickle in over this lap and the next lap. So,
Tanner Schiffner ceding some ground there with a 20.5 in the stall. Manages to sneak out with a 59.4, though. That's a really good pit lane time. Robert Lewis shuffling his way up to second place in GT3 with Anthony Newman out in front of Christopher Turner now.
not by much.
No, not by much at all.
See both those drivers in as well.
And Chris Turner's already got the warm tires, so trying to maximize his exit. And we got a conga line here, getting ready to go into turn 5 with Tyler Torville in the background.
Fun thing to note, Jack Wilkins came in earlier than the rest. And Chris Turner having a big moment there. Trying not to run into Anthony Newman. That's going to give Tyler Torville both spots as a result. But Jack Wilkins having that early pit stop, kind of running his own race, ends up a solid 13 seconds ahead of Luke Patrick as the pit cycle is going to be a little bit different for him for most of this race.
I think we got something weird going on with the interface right now. It's not registering that Nathaniel Baker is taking a pit stop.
I think that's actually accurate.
Really? Okay.
Yeah. I think he has not come in. He is our one driver that has yet to take one. As he, I think, is trying to maybe make the 2-stop work.
Yeah. The other thing I'm curious about with Jack Wilkins pitting early, could have been a quality fuel mistake, but the other thing I'm interested in is, do we have something going on here where perhaps pitting to get away from the rest of the LMP3 field and then just basically trying to push and pump in as many fast laps as possible? Because I mean,
I think so.
he's put a 58.4 on the board. That's mega fast.
Yeah, it's the fastest lap. This most recent time by ends up being one of the, still 0.4 faster than Luke Patrick, who is now 30 seconds, I believe. Not quite. It's probably closer to still 10, 15 seconds behind those two drivers. But I think it's going to be pretty hard to beat Jack Wilkins today on pace alone. So I think unless the fuel cycle swings out of his favor, I think it'll be interesting to see what the last 30 or so minutes look like in terms of the final pit stops and how, Jack Wilkins compares to the other drivers. He did his early one, I think, a little bit sooner than the rest, and how, his longer one at the end there will fare comparatively, as the rest of the GT4 field works their way in and out of pit lane. Last of those drivers working out now. I think interesting conversation there being the second or so that took Corey Laubner further behind Nick Bowen. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, losing a little bit of ground in the pit cycle.
Yeah, you can see the speed difference between these drivers. And Jack Wilkins choosing to be patient and not rip past Matt Pyle because of the speed differential really not being that difference when they get up to speed again. And he'll lean on the door to make that happen. Shorter braking distance for that LMP3. Mainly because the car is later.
Yeah, Chris Turner and Anthony Newman locked in combat here, going into turn 14.
And there's Jack Williams that we were talking about just a moment ago as he got through traffic.
So Tyler Torville managed to get around both Anthony Newman and Chris Turner.
And create a 3-second gap.
Yeah.
What felt like not a very long amount of time, but he's running 204s right now, and both Anthony Newman and Chris Turner are running 206s.
Yeah, interestingly enough, can you go back to the 32-minute 32-minute 15-second mark where, or 32-minute 11-second where Chris Turner gets the pass for P11? I'm just curious to see because, like, 7 seconds later, there's a gaggle of passes in GT3. I'm just kind of curious how that shook out. Chris Turner gets a pass on Anthony Newman for P11. Okay, they're going down in turn 5. Oh, is this where we were looking before, where it was like the
parts of this? Yes.
Part? Yeah, this is the part where Chris Turner.
They almost run into each other, and they both slow down. So Tyler Torville gets the opportunity to kind of just sweep past both of them. We saw the tail end of this as Tyler Torville was making the move on both. But I was trying to figure out what exactly happened between Chris Turner and Anthony Newman. I think it was almost Anthony Newman had to check up to not run into Chris Turner from the inside line.
And then Tyler Torville just streaks away.
Yeah.
Like he's running like 0.6 faster. Kind of wild.
I mean, it's 6 tenths faster on best laps, almost 2 seconds faster right now in terms of last laps.
Oh, probably because of traffic, I bet. He's got a little bit of space and some breathing room, so you can probably navigate the traffic a little bit easier without worrying about getting in fights.
Yeah. Meanwhile, these four have not moved far from where they were a little while ago. Gab Chavez finding his way back on the tail end of this battle for all these cars. Another battle I think I'll look at here in a moment once we see a little more. I'm going to move up one just so I see Chris Turner, Anthony Newman making the defensive line here into turn number 3. Chris Turner having to brake a little bit more to not run into Anthony Newman. It's going to bring Matt Pyle further into this battle. We got, I can pull the battle box. Yeah. Essentially, what is, I think, third in class.
Yeah. Tyler Torville, although Tyler's a little
ways away,
bit further up the road.
Yeah,
up the road. So
a battle for 4th. Anthony Newman at the head, and these three all duking it out.
Yeah, Tanner Schiffner right now with a 5.3 second gap on Robert Lewis, with Tyler Torville 5.5 seconds back. Just looking relative. I wanted to look at the last laps for Tyler Torville, and Robert Lewis is only a little slower, like almost a tenth, with both Tyler Torville and Tanner Schiffner running equivalent times at 2:04.59.
Yeah, it definitely looks like. Let's see, I pop those out. The lap times there. Oh, Anthony Newman once again on the defensive line. Chris Turner trying to push the outside. Both those drivers going to slide out. Chris Turner going to drop back to the end of these three. As Gab Chavez jump around a little bit. Sorry.
I think Chris Turner. I don't think there was a. I didn't see a touch.
I didn't either.
It looked like he just went deep on the brakes and just couldn't get the Mustang to slow down enough.
Not enough rotation there without losing control of it. But was trying to make the fight there for those drivers. Corey Lobner, Henry Garcia, both finding themselves as he's labeled as crash. Let's see what happened here. I was going to follow. This looked like an interesting battle up until this point. It looks like it was. Let's see what happened. Henry Garcia makes the lunge down the inside and then just has enough of overlap to tip and spin Corey around. We got it one more time. Oh, we got from Henry Garcia's on board. Yeah, just doesn't leave enough space. Tips and spins around. That allows Colin Johnson to pick up both those spots. So now those two.
I think the other thing too is it could have been like Henry Garcia might have just like outbroke himself a little bit. Not sure.
Yeah,
but
it definitely could be. I definitely looked like it wasn't fully intentional, but it wasn't.
Yeah, it's really hard to tell.
Yeah.
From that angle.
Herbert Pineda and Jack Fulton for the lead of LMP3AM as Herbert Pineda goes flying around the outside to hold on to it. Jake Fulton 3/10 slower this most recent time by. Jake Fulton's not willing to let it go. Quietly, at least. Interesting. Luke Patrick running a 2-minute even. I think Jaden Ledbetter has caught up to Gian Cardoso amongst all this as well.
I think the thing I'm watching is that battle between Gab Chavez, Matt Pyle, and Chris Turner. Chris Turner kind of dropped back after going deep into Canada corner.
Yeah, that's now all three of them, all four of them once again back within a second of each other in total.
Yep, Austin and Tommy are both lurking in the background of this battle too. GT3 points leaders are gonna see a bit of a shakeup, I think, after this round.
I think so as well. With how far behind Gab Chavez is to Tanner Schiffner. Oh, man. Multi-class traffic coming at the worst times. Gab Chavez desperately trying to get around.
Chris Turner.
Bit of contact there as Anthony Newman tries to cover off. But holds the outside line. Unwilling to let it go.
Yeah, so is he going to try and force it into this fast section?
Forces it.
Matt Pyle's going to try and take advantage. Yep.
Well, that's a three-way contact. Matt Pyle gets pushed out wide.
So there is some serious elbows out racing going on right now in GT3. Matt Pyle's going to recover, but going to drop back down the order. Right in front. Well, no, he's going to lose ground to Christopher Blue.
Yeah, he had to really catch that car from that contact with Gab Chavez. Gab Chavez leaning on the door once again. Anthony Newman unwilling to let him have it.
And Jaden Ledbetter and Gian Cardoso trying to survive in this fist fight in GT3 right now.
Yeah, there's both of them. They split in between two GT3s and GT4s.
Yep, and John Newman, the witness protection money's in the mail. I promise, tell your handlers, keep you safe. Ian Cardoso slipping through and taking advantage of a tough situation. Gab Chavez taking the absolute widest line I've ever seen into turn 5.
Cutting off Chris Turner amongst all this. Austin Green now leaning on the door. Chris Turner. As Gab Chavez finally clear. He's going to push and force through. Get past William Lewis. Rest of these GT3s going to work their way around.
And they've got to take the wide line, which is dirtier, which means their car is going to slide more.
Jack Wilkins.
Chris Turner on the inside into the kink.
Levi Powell being bullied out. Anthony Newman
into the wall.
Touch. Keeps it together.
I think that was a brief touch.
Yeah, with Chris Turner there. None too pleased by that. I can't say I blame him either.
Austin Green in the background now.
Yeah, as well as
Jaden Ledbetter is like, what do I do here? Pray.
Yeah, that's what I would do. Yeah. Chris Turner got a great run here. Oh. Less than a tenth between himself and Gab Chavez. Gab Chavez is going to have to get around multi-class traffic as well. Chris Turner figuring out if he wants to go inside or outside. Gab Chavez finally leaning over. The last moment.
Oh, Austin Green can't get around Logan Branson with Jaden Ledbetter right there.
And Jaden's going to get around Chris Turner.
It's these moments in the sports car series in particular where I'm like, this has to be the most stressful thing in the world.
Yeah.
When you've got 3 different classes in the same spot at the same time.
And all of them are battling for position of some form or another.
Yeah.
Jaden's going to push Gab just a little wide, which brings it back into the fight with Chris Turner. As we keep looking on kind of this battle in this grouping.
And getting a little bit of breathing room.
Yeah. Anthony Newman kind of falling away from these drivers a little bit. I think a little bit of damage there. Gian's going to have to try to figure out how he can get around these cars in time. Oh, boy, howdy. But he's going to accidentally get blocked off by Chris Turner. Just narrowly avoids him.
Going into the kink together.
Yep. He's going to lift a little.
The closing speed of Gian Cardoso on this McLaren. Not as much as he's going to try and dive to the inside.
Gab Chavez trying to dive on the inside of Scott Fleming.
Yep, Scott Fleming. Chris Turner finds the dirt. It is pandemonium.
Yep, Scott Fleming pushed out wide. Chris Turner trying to get around. Scott Fleming just trying not to die. And Austin Green giving him no room. That really opens a gap between these drivers. Brings Tommy Kogan back into this fight as well.
And then we still got another GT4 as we get ready to approach turn number 1.
Yep. Henry Garcia ahead of all of these drivers. Scott Fleming slowly closes down a different distance to Kerry Nolan. And amongst all of this as well.
Yeah, I suspect that Tommy Kogan's going to want to try and gain some more ground to close that gap to Gab Chavez.
That's the goal, but I think it's the goal is also not to get, spun out again like he was at the tail end of the heat race. What's the onboard look like for these guys?
Crazy.
Poor Corey Lobner getting caught up amongst all this. See him off to the right there. Gab Chavez. 12 seconds between himself and Tyler Torville. Daniel Baker now trying to get around. He's going to end up off track, overshooting that corner. Matt Pyle getting an off track as well. Jaden Ledbetter also getting an off track, but in a way that doesn't cost him too much time.
Everybody managing to keep it out of the wall, too.
Yeah. Scott Fleming trying to get past Kerry Nolan, who's blinked a couple times, but that Pizza Planet GT4. Is he giving him a push? I can't tell.
Could be. Could
Not
be.
quite. Looks like it from one angle.
Like,
but.
join me, friend.
Colin Johnson, Tim Mello back into a fight as well in the GT4 category. This multi-class traffic, the GT3s still working their way through as well.
Yeah, the field is splitting out a little bit. We've only got a few fights on track.
Yeah.
But Herbert Pineda, though.
So Herbert Pineda, Jake Fulton for the lead amongst this battle between Tim Mello and Colin Johnson, GT4 for the LMP3 AM lead. Herbert Pineda still holding on to that spot. Almost bumps into Anthony Newman, excuse me. And then they're going to go 3 wide between the two of them as Jake Fulton keeps it 2 wide for these drivers. He has to slow down, though, a little bit. And that's going to give the spot back to Herbert Pineda. Poor Anthony Newman, who's trying to keep the race going in the right direction after that spin earlier. We are halfway through this race. And it has been a busy 45 minutes. Oh, there he is.
Okay, now I'm kind of curious. So we're at lap 24 overall. I wonder if we're about to see our next round of pit stops for the GT3 runners.
Yeah, it should be soonish. Jake Hewitt almost having a moment there. Yeah, through lap 24, Tommy Kogan not letting LMP3s cause problems for the moment. So that gap opens back up just a little bit. Henry Garcia, I think we're just getting into a second of Corey Lobner. Still a little bit of distance here. But as other battles spread out, the GT4 battles, kind of the pockets of duels, heat up.
Yeah. Robert Lewis, first one in. There's Tyler Torville. I think Tanner Shifter pushed a little bit deeper than these guys did, so I'm not surprised to see.
Cap Chavez trying to get into pit lane, almost takes out Nathaniel Baker in the process.
Turner into pit lane as well. Yeah, bunch of GT3s. Anthony Newman, Tommy Kogan, bubbling up to the surface. Again, the folks that stayed out pretty much an extra lap.
Yeah. Ryan Nolan as well, I think, is going to be in this lap. We're going to see a lot of those drivers work their way in. Jack Wilkins has already done his second pit stop and was in the box for 1 minute and 15 seconds. I wonder if there was a penalty there. That feels very long.
I don't know, but Robert Lewis was in the box for 19.6 seconds and still managed to come out behind Tommy Kogan and Anthony Newman.
Well, Anthony Newman and Tommy Kogan haven't.
Oh, excuse me. Yeah, that's why. Sorry. I was reading laser focused on the pit lane times and didn't even look at the pit lane or at the pit lap.
Jumps to pits. Pits, enter pits. What happened?
I don't actually see that on my interface.
The Jack Wilkins thing?
No, doesn't show.
Yeah, it says that he jumps the pit. He enters pit lane, then jumps to pits. I'm curious. I'm gonna take a dive. I'm curious. I'm looking at the timing there. It's in the box for 1 minute and 15 seconds. I'm trying to figure out if it's a speeding penalty or what. Oh, that's pretty hot. Not the most, though. Or is he out of fuel? It's always a dangerous one to be out of fuel on. Because it's uphill.
He is
slowing
creeping.
Down.
He is really creeping.
Oh, is he out of fuel? I think he is.
Oh, no.
Yep, and then he just parks it. And then he jumps to pits.
Unfortunate.
Yep, that's how he ended up with 1 minute 15, as they had to tow him down pit lane.
Tanner Schiffner, Tommy Kogan, Anthony Newman in the box.
Mm-hmm.
Robert Lewis with a 19.6 is pretty good. Gab Chavez, 19.27. Chris Turner, 19.23. Austin Green, 19.13 seconds in the stall. Some fast boys, and nobody is taking tires.
No, because they're still under an hour. And
yeah,
I think they could just run, especially if they take care of the tires, you could run, I think, on one set for 90 minutes. And it'd still be not as fast to get tires as it would be to get a full set of fuel with the fuel count now being 45%. Jake Hewitt, Lewis, I think, is going to pull the trigger and be the first of the GT4s to come in for the second pit stop. Oh, Henry Garcia, Corey Lobner back into the fight.
Anthony Newman's falling down the order with a 21.62 second pit stop. To cycle out behind Austin Green and in front of Christopher Blue.
Oh, yeah. Sorry, just keeping an eye on Chris Turner. He's trying not to run into those GT4s.
Yep, and he's trying to catch up to Gab Chavez and Tommy Kogan in the background there.
Mm-hmm.
You want to talk about brutal, man. This on-track action is brutal.
Yeah.
On-track action is, this is some Hunger Games nonsense right here. Ian Cardoso's in the pits.
Yeah, he's going to be the second LMP3. Jake Fulton's going to join him as well. Looks like a lot of people will have, I believe, a splash and dash towards the end of this.
Yeah, the Corey Lobner Henry Garcia fight's pretty much the closest thing going.
Yeah,
right now, we probably won't have anything really dramatic until we get towards the end of the race, towards that last stop.
Yeah. These two, as well as the battle between Colin Johnson and Tim Mello, I think are the two on-track actions that are kind of still working its way through. Though multi-class traffic may be a problem for Tim Mello. As Gab Chavez pushes past. Chris Turner's going to use that open door as well. And Gab Chavez has to come back into pit lane for a black flag penalty for incident limits. Same for Tim Mello. As that both took them both over the limit. That one tap there that we saw out of Gab Chavez. So
that is going to be brutal.
Well, I'd say Gab Chavez, I think, has been making contact not a number of times. I wonder how significant each one of those was. I would have to imagine enough to push him over the incident threshold, which will really break up kind of the fight for the top five down to just Chris Turner and Tommy Kogan. As that battle comes back into play, Tim Mello also And that Colin Johnson fight has broken apart. Same with Corey Lobner as Henry Garcia has come into pit. Logan Branson, I think, be one of the first GT4 AMs. Nope, excuse me. One of the last GT4 AMs to come in, of the 6 of them. Tanner Schiffner and Robert Lewis. Yeah, interesting.
Yeah. Robert Lewis is in it.
Yeah, faster lap times. Tanner Schiffner
had a 2-minute 46-second lap. Well, I mean, he had the pit stop.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, still though, I mean, he's only 2 seconds off him in the pits. Like, where'd the rest of the time go?
Yeah.
He had like a 6-second gap there.
Well,
trying to figure it out.
3 seconds got absorbed by the lap time, and then looks like Robert Lewis is just setting a little bit faster lap times, navigating lap traffic a little bit better.
Yeah, that could be it. Yeah, that's true.
So we'll maybe see Robert Lewis continues to pare down that time. We have a fight for the lead of GT3 on our hands as well. A lot of the GT4 Pro drivers working their way in that didn't already come in from last lap.
Tommy Kogan not giving Chris any bit of a break.
Yeah, no room for error for those drivers. And amongst this, Austin Green catching back up as well.
I just want to say I do appreciate how Tommy Kogan races under the Purple Rain CrowdStrike Motorsport livery. I just want to also say that racing a car with the name Purple Rain and not racing a car from Detroit, missed opportunity.
Yeah, definitely.
Gonna say that out loud.
Huge missed opportunity there. If you're gonna do Purple Rain, but not have it be in Detroit.
Yep. Just saying. Programmer Wisp in chat saying hi for the first time. Welcome aboard. We've got what is that? A little over 30 minutes, 32 minutes of racing action. Logan Branson marked as crashed. I wonder what just happened here.
Oh, yeah. Let's take a look. See if we get an opportunity to see what happened for those. I don't have a marked as crashed. I just have an off track. Interesting.
Yeah.
All right. Either way, let's see what happened to Logan Branson here. Off track. Going to the final corner. I wonder if it's just a little too hot. I don't see anybody around him yet. There's a slide. Keeps it out of trouble. Oh, my gosh. Ends up... Thankfully, nobody around to really give him an issue here. Conversely, Kerry Nolan also labeled as crash amongst all this. Jack Wilkins going to be passing by him. Turn number 3 here. Too much rotation as well. Locks
He's in
up
the middle of the track.
Keeps it out of harm's way, off the racing line a little bit, because you're going to end up on what will be the driver's left. Our right, as we're looking at it from in front of them, is the racing line. So it kind of gets out of the way and gets back on.
It is LMP3. Yeah, GT4, LMP3, GT3. Yep.
Yes.
That are the class. We do have 2 different categories in LMP3 and GT4. So we have LMP3 Pro, LMP3 AM, and then GT4 Pro, GT4 AM. Among those classes, GT3 is one class altogether.
Jack Wilkins and Gian Cardoso back into a fight.
And Jack Wilkins, again, making up some big pace. Yeah, there's a Discord and a site. So there's the Discord, and there is the site.
The best way is to join the Discord. I think we are still on waiting list for the most part. at the
Although I'm
moment.
curious now. I don't know if we're to the point now where people have enough drop rounds where people might be calling it. We still have 3 rounds left in the season there, programmer. Or pro gamer. Pro gamer. I'm going to learn how to say your name correctly, I promise. So yeah, we passed the 60-minute mark, and with less than 30 minutes left in this race, we still got one more scheduled pit stop to take us to the end.
It's going to be a splash and dash. I think somewhere in the last 15 minutes be my guess to really capitalize on as much low fuel as possible.
Yep, I think so. And
Sean Sullivan, Scott Fleming getting into a battle there for overall GT4 positions. Someone we've not talked much about, but Sean Sullivan having a pretty solid feature race here to end up at the top of GT4 AM. And Herbert Pineda really opening up a gap to Jake Fulton.
GT4 is just pushing so hard into the carousel, sliding on that front left.
Yeah. See Ryan Nolan in the background of all this, working his way through. Or sorry, Dan Schiffner.
Just being patient. Currently holding a 1.1 second gap on Robert Lewis, although Robert Lewis is a freight train in the background.
Yep.
Beltan is pushing the 949 sim racing McLaren through GT4 traffic right now.
Trying not to lose any more time. Keep up that fight for the lead of the race. We've been following this battle in GT4 overall positioning, which is how they're scored. And we've seen the battle between Gian Cardoso and Jack Wilkins come and go. I feel like every time I see them get close to each other, Jack Wilkins reopens up the gap, or Gian Cardoso gets just a little bit of time there. Austin Green, however, catching up to Tommy Kogan as he's fell away from Chris Turner by a few seconds. I think multi-class traffic had help with that. You look at the track map, though. Look at just look at how spread out all of these cars are across this track.
Right, man. Tommy Kogan in a battle with Austin Green. Austin Green keeping it nice and close as we head down towards turn 5. Does look like Lambo has a little bit more in terms of straight line speed.
Just a little. He just had a good exit there too as well. This middle sector, you'll see this gap, I think, open up a little bit. Austin Green, mid-engine, Lamborghini, all the mid-engines really shining in the medium corner speeds because that engine placement making them pretty stable throughout all that.
Whoa, twitchy front end under braking. Austin Green keeping it nailed down though as he goes into, and man, that car is sliding. You see it?
Yeah. It is definitely, those tires are definitely feeling it. Jack Wilkins drag racing Gian Cardoso down the front start finish stretch. Don't mean to pull us away from that battle, but
yeah,
see parts of this is Jack Wilkins gonna step back onto the podium with one more pit stop to go. And despite having to toe to pit lane or down the last stretch of pit lane and getting a minute long pit time, he is still finding his way onto the podium and has to make up the 17 seconds between himself and Jaden Ledbetter with less than 30 minutes left to go. It's gonna be a tall order for Jack at this point.
So is this going to be one of those moments when we go back and look at the race and say Jack Wilkins with the tactical toe?
I think it was. He had to. It was not really an option not to.
No, but what I'm saying is it's like, okay, interesting. So he pitted on lap 20. And he's got, I mean, he's definitely going to have to pit before the end of the race. Like, I think still.
Yeah.
Definitely. But I was just kind of like thinking, I was like speculating from the perspective of like, so push the car until it's literally on pit road and out of fuel, and then take the tactical tow so that you can eat more of the clock off and spend more time out on track. Like, I don't know.
It's worth, I think it, especially, you know, it definitely helps when you're already off cycle, as he kind of ended up being, coming in at 10 minutes. We'll have to see how that, and I think the final pit stop might be an interesting one for him. Jake Fulton spun around right before the kink. This is going to be awkward for Tyler Torville. He's going to flash, say, hey, I'm coming on by. He worked it out.
Wow, and Tyler Torville goes right up to the grass.
Yeah. And he's got a meatball flag. Let's see what happened here. We caught him at the end of
Tyler
this.
Torville does?
No.
Or Jack
Wilkins.
Okay.
And what happens here? Oh, catches the grass. Snap oversteer. Bounces off that tire barrier. And then we saw this is where we joined him as he rejoins the track. Black flag as well for Austin Green amongst all this that we saw for Jake Fulton, excuse me. Jack Wilkins comes in for his final pit stop of the evening. Looks like he made it into the box without having an issue, which is good to see. Also see as Jake Fulton comes in to get that car put back together. Now, last 20-second pit stop for Jack Wilkins here. I'm curious to see how long Gian Cardoso ends up in the box at the end here, and if that decides whether or not he ends up in front of or behind Jack Wilkins to battle for this third step of the podium.
Yeah. I think it's going to be interesting. I'm looking right now. So if we pitted on lap 27, so I suspect we've got what? I think you were saying you probably would go, another 8 minutes?
Thereabouts.
You wanted to pit and do half and half of effectively your last tank of fuel to get to the end?
Yeah, as much you want to run it down pretty darn, low, if not to empty. And I think that would math out to be within the last, 15 minutes or so is when that window really opens to then just come in for the splash. So I can't imagine it would be longer than, say, a 10-second box time and about a 40-second to 40 to 50-second pit lane travel.
Yeah. Ooh. Deep turn 5 exit there for Jake Fulton, I believe.
Yeah. Saw Levi Powell pass Kerry Nolan amongst all this. Kerry Nolan currently ending up in the lead of the GT4 AM category on his return.
Yeah. Yep.
So pretty decent result for him. Or excuse me, is that Levi Powell? Because he should be in AM and not Pro. Is that once again? Yes. So Levi Powell taking over the lead of GT4 AM with that green banner on there. Austin Green coming into pit lane, which won't. Nope, he is jumped to pits. Entered pit lane, jumped to pits.
Another situation where we ran out of fuel.
I think it might just be calling it quits.
Oh, was that a pit lane speed thing?
I don't think so. He had the black flag earlier from reaching an incident limit. And then he
just punched out.
Yep. I think just called it quits for the day. Let me see. Yeah, Levi Powell, I think, should be an AM. Let's see if I hop back over to points.
Yeah, he should be an AM, I believe. Yep.
Yes. Yep, great.
So he'll be in the lead of
Yep.
AM class?
Yes, he's in the lead.
Good results so far for Levi then.
Yeah. Though Kerry Nolan keeping him honest, not losing a whole lot of ground to him.
Yeah. I'm really kind of curious though, because so it's like, yeah, we got to be getting close to people wanting to pull the trigger. Especially if somebody wanted to put 20 minutes of fuel in the car for the end, get a good undercut maybe.
It's possible. I think it depends on if you have like a whole bunch of lap traffic to work through or, to avoid.
Yeah.
You could definitely play that in your favor to pit early and avoid that traffic one way or the other.
Yeah, I think that's an interesting play.
Yeah, Nick Bowen leading GT4 AM.
So Robert Lewis has lost a lot of ground to Tanner Schiffner.
Yes, so has Jake Hewitt after a 36-second pit cycle. Drops him out of the lead.
Yeah.
Oh, Kerry. Oh, there we go. Anthony Newman also getting back into the fight with Tommy Cogan.
And with Nick Bowen there in front, get ready to go into turn 6. Awkward moment. Nick's going to give a wide amount of space to Anthony Newman, who's showing the nose early to get ready to go into turn 8. Trying to throw Tommy Cogan off his game.
Yeah, Anthony Newman running about half a second faster laps than Tommy Cogan, the most recent time by. So, trying to see if that gap closes down further. About 2 seconds between these two drivers and Chris Turner up ahead, and then a solid 15 seconds to Matt Pyle behind as he's had a spin or two amongst everything else. Oh, Christopher Blue finds himself around. Corey Lobner really getting to go evasive as amongst all that.
Things are kind of calm now, but I'm assuming we're going to see some pit stops. Nick Bowen diving in right now.
Yeah, I think the opportunity there.
She's going to try to use this to go ahead and get that last bit of fuel in. Matt Pyle in early as well.
Yeah, all three
Christopher
of those.
Blue. Yeah.
A whole bunch of those drivers trying to get their pit stops done out of the way. We're coming up to that 15-minute marker. Anthony Newman leaning on the door. Finally getting the job done.
Going a little bit wide, kicking up some dirt on the exit of 5. Just taking a look at the pit cycle times. Matt Pyle in the box for 14 seconds. Christopher Blue is dropping down the order now as he eclipses the 20-second mark for his final pit stop. A long pit stop for Christopher Blue. Good evening, Bullet. How are you doing?
Might be trying to repair damage there for Christopher Blue. That's my thought.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Or maybe some sort of penalty might be serving. I don't know. Tanner Schiffner now diving into the pits from the race lead. Chris has been doing pretty good. He won the heat race. He's still in 4th in the feature. GT3 has been elbows out.
Pretty much
The first half of the race was elbows out for like the first 35 minutes, but now things have calmed down a little bit.
Yeah, it's not
19.6 seconds for Robert Lewis. Oh, no, we haven't seen him hit the box yet. There we go. Now we're seeing him hit the box. Anthony Newman, Tommy Kogan. Now, both late pit stops for both of them. Tanner Schiffner, though, pulling the trigger early off cycle to the other two. So I'm kind of interested to see what that means. Does Tanner Schiffner know that he can't quite make it to the end of the race on this tank?
I mean, I think you would have to be able to. I think he's maybe just coming in to get it done to avoid traffic would be my guess. Depending on
Maybe
where he was relative.
Jake Hewitt in the box for... Oh, no, he's just now starting to tick into the box. Where is Nick Bowen going to pop out relative? Nick Bowen in the box for 7.77 seconds. And he is going to leapfrog Jake Hewitt.
He's going to keep extending that gap to Jake Hewitt because Jake Hewitt had a 36-second one last time to the usual 25-ish, I believe, was most of those for the GT4 cars on that second pick stop. So 10 seconds more for Jake Hewitt the first time around. Add in another 5 to Nick Bowen. That gap, I think, is now sitting pretty solidly at about 7 or so seconds.
I mean, was it Nick Bowen, or excuse me, Jake Hewitt? Tim Mello hasn't pitted yet, but they're splitting them now.
Yeah, Colin Johnson, Corey Lobner, Scott Fleming all have to yet to pit. Continue to ride along with Chris Turner. Closest on-track action still.
Oh, did John Newman just go off track?
Yes, and he goes back on track.
Yeah.
So the closest on-track action in terms of position and fighting for those is going to be these two Mustang GT4s in the lead of GT4M. They're still duking it out. Kerry Nolan having a pretty solid return to the series, spending most of the race in the lead so far. Levi Powell building up time to kind of get the job done for the moment. But now both of them have to see these last 15, or really last 13 minutes home without issue. Unlike, I think, Christopher Blue, whose night has not, I think, been the best, but has been trying nonetheless. And I think having maybe at least a little bit of fun with it, but that's going to be too much. Just a little too much rotation. Catches it, though, before it becomes really an issue.
So 11.93 for Tommy Kogan in the box. Anthony Newman was 12.8 in the box.
Oh.
They both cycle out back into the fight, but right in front of Chris Turner.
Who was 14 seconds?
He's 14.32.
Okay. Which makes sense. They were about 2 seconds behind prior to that pit cycle. So Chris Turner now has to figure out how to get around both these cars.
Time in the box to get fuel looks like it might be playing a big difference maker here.
Yeah.
Jake Hewitt cycling in front of Colin Johnson and Corey Lobner. Tim Mello still has yet to pit.
Gian Cardoso cycling out ahead of Jack Wilkins by about a second and a half.
Yeah, these two still locked in a battle.
Yep. Has Jack Wilkins trying to reclaim the ground. Everybody else ahead of these drivers have yet to pit for LMP3. Kerry Nolan gets his final pit stop done. 7 seconds for that driver. It's going to be super interesting to see how these last few pit stops for the GT4 M as well as Pro kind of shake up this final order. Oh man, Anthony Newman right on the tail of Tommy Kogan for the spot.
It's traffic. Multi-class traffic going to be a big factor here.
Yeah, Tommy doesn't go defensive. Anthony has the brief moment of the look, but has to tuck back in. And they keep it going for a little while longer. Oh, there's a look. Anthony Newman going to dive down the inside. Tommy Kogan forcing around the outside. Both of them going to run a little wide. Tommy not super thrilled by that, but keeps it going the right direction. Chris Turner in the background, utilizing all that road.
Yep. Trying to stay close to Tommy Kogan, trying to capitalize on any kind of mistake that could happen. Got less than 9 minutes left in this race.
Yeah, GT3s keeping it cozy up until the end. Tyler Torville regaining ground on Robert Lewis to bring that fight back into a couple seconds of each other. John Newman has been labeled as crashed. As well as Jake Fulton. And a black flag out of Jack Wilkins.
Unfortunate, man. That late in the game.
Let's see what happened to Jake Fulton here. Well, look at the pass. Jack Wilkins has just a snap bit of oversteer as that car bottoms out. Slides it to a stop. Keeps it out of harm's way. Reverses it back off the track. Gets it going again. Doesn't hit anything, thankfully. These two swap back and forth. I want to see the pass here. They were battling beforehand. Jack Wilkins just leans on the door. And gets it done. Almost tips. Oh, that might be where the black flag also comes into play. As he tips Gian Cardoso around. Gives the position back, however. Maybe. There we go. You're going to see Jack Wilkins come in here. Serve that black flag penalty. Still have 7 minutes and one final pit stop out of the 3 drivers up at the front. I think Jack Wilkins jumps to the pit box and calls it a day. Sean Sullivan, nearly avoided by Jake Fulton.
Just looking at the data right now. Just seeing Blake Patrick into the pit stop now. Waiting to see what his pit stop time, 8.43. Gonna be good for him. Trying to maintain that lead.
Mm-hmm. Robert Lewis, Chad Turville also working into a fight. These two drivers, Nathaniel Baker, Jaden Ledbetter, are going to be battling it out until Nathaniel has to come in to get his pit stop done. He's one of the 3 LMP3 drivers who have yet to do theirs. Tyler Turville making the look to get past Robert Lewis. John Newman coming back on the track. And then Sean Sullivan going to dive in to do his drive-through penalty.
Drive-through is a bit unexpected to see this many.
Given the nature of some of the off-tracks in these areas of this track, combined with the elbows out, I would say we've seen out of a lot of this race, I'm not as surprised that we got the incidents that we did, or the drive-through penalties, I should say.
Yeah. Daniel Baker getting a little bit closer to Jaden, although Nathaniel Baker hasn't pitted, so.
Yeah, he is not. And Jaden Ledbetter just got past him. Same we saw with Robert Lewis and Tyler Torville.
Yep.
Christopher Blue getting his drive-through penalty served for incident limits.
Close down. We're inside the last 5 minutes of the 90-minute feature. Looks like we've only got a few fights to really focus on, and now it's all about whether or not people got fuel numbers right. Chris Turner does seem to be battling back on Tommy Kogan now.
Yeah, seems to be. Kerry Nolan also getting off track amongst all that. Got the likes of Alan Love trying to figure out what's happening and what he can be doing amongst all this. I wonder if Nathaniel Baker is trying to go the distance.
Just taking another peek at data. The only driver, so we've only got like a few drivers that have yet to pit in GT4 left. GT3 is pretty much taken care of. LMP3 is taken care of with the exception of Nathaniel Baker.
It's a little bit more of a mixed bag between those drivers that have come in for GT4. I think Tim Mello is one of the few that hasn't yet, as well as Scott Fleming.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I wonder if there's the Giga fuel save strategy happening for those drivers.
I'm wondering, man, because we're less than 3 minutes to the end of this race. Is it like if you don't get the bonus lap, you could potentially pull it off, which would be nutty. And then tune in next week when GT4s are now cut down to 45%.
Be the latest to join the fuel restriction. I'll take an eye on these guys for a moment. Chris Turner back in a fight with Tommy Kogan. We talked about it a little bit earlier.
Yep.
Heating back up as we get into the last couple of laps. Luke Patrick on an island in the LMP3 Pro category. Herbert Pineda, LMP3 AM, keeping ahead of Jake Fulton. Tanner Schiffner, early on, battling it out with some of these drivers. Finds himself kind of also on an island. Same is true for Scott Fleming, who's going to be 2.5 seconds ahead of Nick Bowen, as well as Tim Mello and Jake Hewitt, as these drivers, as Scott Fleming has just fuel saved his way so far into a two-stopper and cut off a minute of time to end up at the front of the grid of GT4 overall, as well as in Pro.
Yeah.
Levi Powell, I think, also trying to make the two-stopper work to stay ahead of the likes of Kerry Nolan, who has returned. Logan Branson in for his drive-through penalty that he got this evening.
Also, hats off. If Scott Fleming pulls this off, I mean, he had the incident early on in the heat race that threw him to the back of the GT4 field. So to pull off the two-stop and get a result like that seems pretty good.
Yeah, it seems really good, as well as Luke Patrick. Not a two-stopper, but a fantastic comeback drive for this race after the incident in the heat.
So he is losing some ground, about 0.8 to Nick Bowen last lap. So Scott Fleming's still got a little bit of cushion, but now we're about to find out here shortly if two stops is a number you can hit. He's crossing the line. That's the finish.
That is the finish.
Wow.
So
okay.
The answer is yes.
Yeah,
because he left
that's
out.
Wild. That
bonus.
No bonus lap for Scott Fleming. That is pretty bonkers. So Luke Patrick gonna take the the win in LMP3. We're still waiting for Jaden Ledbetter to come across the line.
And he's going to be hunted down by Nathaniel Baker there, who's right behind him for P2 and P3 of LMP3 Pro. Tyler Torville, Tanner Schiffner, as well as Robert Lewis going to take on the top three there. Anthony Newman staying ahead, solid fourth position there. And then Chris Turner, as well as Tommy Kogan, going to be duking it out. We'll see Chris Turner in sixth, Tommy Kogan in fifth. And Levi Powell leading home GT4M.
Levi Powell looks like he's getting a really good result in GT4AM. I want to give a big shout out to Beltan. Third place finish in the 949 machine.
Oh, yeah.
Known Beltan for a long time, so really, really happy to see him up at the sharp end of it. So.
Chris Turner really testing the brake limits on how far he can, how close he can get.
Maybe. But yeah, that was a pretty good finish to that race. Even though the field started to spread out, that fuel save there from Scott Fleming going to go down in history.
Absolutely.
As Scott Fleming comes out of nowhere, starting from the back of the GT4 field, and then finds his way to win the race on a two-stopper. Luke Patrick also from the back of the LMP3 field to go on and finish at the front of the heat race. Really big result for them.
Yeah, huge result for them. I would say Jack Wilkins also in a similar boat. Had he not had the issues with the fuel stuff, and on his birthday too, that's always the worst.
Yeah,
but hopefully he has better celebrations outside of this.
Yeah, indeed.
Feature. We'll get some results here and wrap up the show for the evening. Luke Patrick's going to take on the win in LMP3 Pro ahead of Jaden Ledbetter, with Nathaniel Baker following close behind. Gian Cardoso, Jack Wilkins, Alex Velasco. I believe Alex Velasco did not take to the start of the feature race, and Jack Wilkins ends up 5 laps down as we see Luke Patrick attempting to burn it down.
Yeah. Yep, he's just gonna blow up the tires. Yeah, good result for Luke. It was a good result for Nathaniel Baker too, also with the two-stopper to get third. That's a big deal.
Good results out of both of them. LMP3AM, Herbert Pineda Sr. is gonna take home the win. It says a whole lap. It's really closer to about, I believe, like a minute.
It's closer. Yeah, it's closer for them. That's relative to the rest of the field. So
yeah, it's pretty close between those two drivers, but all good podium results for all three of them.
Yeah,
and indeed. The GT3.
Yeah, Tanner Schiffner getting that top spot. 9-second gap there at the end with Tyler Torville carving through traffic there at the end to finish second. Robert Lewis in third. Like I said, super stoked for Beltan. Anthony Newman. And so let's just talk about the battles that we saw throughout GT3. I mean, top 8 basically shuffled themselves off and on.
Yeah.
For the better part of the first half and a decent chunk of the second half. So pretty wild stuff in GT3.
Yeah, it was definitely always seemed to be very much a battle of who had the right line at the right moment to kind of poke and end up on top. And then it was the small missteps and a couple of accidents there that really broke it down into, smaller groups of cars like Tommy Kogan and Chris Turner at the end there. Only 3/10 separating them and their finishes as they both duked it out. But as you said, pretty much top 8 were all battling with each other at one point or another for position. So fantastic stuff. I think definitely the highlight, the class that was battling throughout all of it for this race was the likes of GT3, GT4 Pro.
Yeah.
Sees Scott Fleming take home the win, the 2-stop mega save, leading him home ahead of Nick Bowen, who was desperately trying to close down that gap. Tim Mello also winning out with that fuel strategy over Colin Johnson, with Jake Hewitt kind of splitting the difference between those two drivers as they were battling for a large part of this. Corey Laubner, Henry Garcia ending up a little ways down as a result of a couple of incidents. And then Sophie Bozeman not starting the race due to a issue with the sim racing rig. And then last but certainly not least, GT4 AM, Phil.
Yeah, Levi Powell getting a win in the feature race. Good results for Levi. Kerry Nolan with the return coming in second. Logan Branson in third. Really good fights throughout, and traffic management in GT4 always super stressful. But I feel like everybody did their best, and yeah, it was pretty good race all around for the GT4 category, in my opinion.
I agree. I think it's a fantastic result for Kerry Nolan as he came back. I think driver of the day, if I had to give one, as a shout out to him for the consistency to kind of keep putting in the lap times, not get involved in incidents like we saw with a good portion of the field at one point or another for the GT4s across both Pro and Am. Logan Branson, Andrew Seelig, that battle between those two down at the last couple turns, very close as well. I know we can only count the tail end of it, but throughout the last few laps, Andrew Seelig and Logan Branson were just going at it. So fantastic end of that race for them. And I think that wraps up 90 minutes of racing here at Road America. What are our closing thoughts before we get out of here?
I mean, I feel like GT3 is going to shake up a bit in the points. Really interested to see what everybody does next week at Virginia. Like, that is going to be a tough one. It's a longer lap and, in my opinion, a narrower track. So it's going to be really interesting to see what's in store for this crew when it comes to that.
Yeah, I think the multi-class racing, it's great here because the track width almost never changes throughout most of the race, the lap. But I think at VIR, where some parts of it are super wide and other parts are super narrow, really learning how to manage that multi-class is going to be, I think, a very vital part of everybody's race results after that 70-minute feature. And then I think we'll get a reprieve with Indianapolis as well as Road Atlanta to round out the season in terms of track conditions that we have to race on. But the racing we'll get, I think, at all three of them is going to be pretty solid based on the way tonight went throughout most of that racing. And what we've seen the rest of the season, I think, this is no deviation, I think, from the kind of the good racing we've seen across the first 6 weeks prior to this.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to the last 3 rounds. I think they're going to be really exciting. And I think it's going to cap off a really good season. I think 10 rounds. I think this might be one of our longest seasons.
I think so.
So really excited to see how the season ends up. I think we might get points drop rounds in our points calculations for next week, so that's going to be exciting too. So it's definitely going to be some stuff you guys are going to tune into next week. Find out more.
Absolutely.
Should we kick off a raid?
We probably should. Looking a quick look at chat here. Jaden definitely did get a little bit, I would say, a brief moment there for those drivers. So, as well as the Indy dry to wet race, which should be very fun. Get a little bit of weather in our racing season.
Yep. It'll be a lot of fun.
But, let's kick off the raid and we'll send this off.
We're gonna go raid an old friend of mine, Mr. Crimson, from Scrubs Go Racing, is doing a race for a cause. He's racing for Belong To, and looks like they're at Le Mans.
Nice.
Known Chris for a long time. Former 949, also raced a little bit with New World Sim Racing, so that's gonna be a familiar name to the New World folks. But go say hi, give him a shout out from Track Limits. So let me get that started.
Quick talk. If you want to be part of this action that you saw here this evening, we posted about it earlier. I'll post about it one more time as well. Join us on Discord or over on the website will be the place to do those things. Both are great places to find out more information about the series, where you want to join in. We do this kind of every other week is how it usually gets billed, but usually it's a couple of weeks here, a few weeks off, a couple of weeks there is how this season has gone. So we will see you all, I think, in 7 days' time for VIR, and then we'll get a couple of weeks to go between that as well as Indy and then the season finale at Road Atlanta. So stay tuned in. If you want to get into the action, join the Discord. We are often having new drivers hop in all the time. So if you don't get in immediately, be patient. It's been a pretty busy time. So thank you all very much for watching. We'll see you all in 7 days' time for VIR. I've been Fettuccini once again, giving you all the on-track action alongside Phil Milwee, who has been so ever wonderfully great with all the analytics and those numbers there. So,
blast, man.
Oh, it always is. I'm so happy to be back. I'm excited to do this again next weekend. To dive into VIR. It's gonna be, I think, such a different style. The amount of, the elevation change, the track width really playing a bigger factor, I think, is going to be a huge change in track elements, which will make for some very different racing than what we saw tonight. I think a lot of the battles we had were a result of that, and everybody's gone.
Yeah.
Yay. So great. We did it.
It's okay. We get to close it out anyway for the video.
So thank you very much for watching on the video side of things. We'll see y'all soon. And